In NASCAR 25, we really saw the opportunity to do something different with the race day experience. So having worked on a bunch of different NASCAR games in my career, it's always been sort of the same flow when you get to the race weekend of, practice, qualifying, race. And while we wanted to have those features in there, obviously, we wanted to make them all feel very unique and memorable.
So to execute there, we've actually taken certain areas of each track and really built these scenes where we can show the car models in a different way. Traditionally we've only shown the car models once you actually get on track, and now we're using them almost like a character in a movie.
So one of the ways that we've done that is we're doing everything at the racetrack from the driver's perspective. When you get to the racetrack, you're down in the pits, you're in the garage, you're intermingling with your crew members, with your team, you're in your car. There's no concept of what is a normal race day UI where you're just clicking through menus. You're actually the driver at the track in your car, interacting with your crew chief and your spotter.
Everybody knows that iRacing is all about authenticity. It's not just a marketing slogan, right? The company was literally founded on this notion of being authentic first and realistic. We've talked a lot about car models and track models and laser scanning, but we haven't really gotten into the sound yet. And when you come to these NASCAR tracks, the sound is everything, right? In NASCAR 25, every engine sound that you hear is actually recorded from those real world race cars. And one of the things we're super excited about this year is the spotters. You have not one, but two real world Cup spotters that we're working with in Josh Williams and TJ Majors, and we've learned so much from these guys.
Playing these games enabled me to become part of a community that gave me an opportunity to get involved in something that I love.
My grandfather was general manager at the Martinsville Speedway for about 25 years. So just grew up around the track, listening to radios, didn't really know anything different. My parents they did sell souvenirs for Del Senior. So for 20 years they did that. So just always being around it.
Being involved in a game like this is unique, man, and it's really cool. I don't think, it's not an opportunity that comes along to everyone all the time.
So spotting started late 70s, early 80s. A few drivers just wanted an extra set of eyes just to kind of see the rest of the track where they couldn't see it. And then everybody started realizing it was a benefit for them. So then everybody kind of ended up with them every week. And then NASCAR finally made it mandatory, I think early 90s. Some bigger accidents, people got hurt, so they made them mandatory now. So there has to be a spotter on the roof before they'll let your car leave pit road.
So one of our big focuses with NASCAR 25 is this notion of immersion and emotion. And we're really tapping into the emotional side of what it's like to be a driver. And one of the examples with Junior was we asked him, you go to a race weekend, when are you most stressed out? And his answer really shocked us. You'd think it was, being four wide at Talladega for 4 or 5 hours straight. And actually it was qualifying. And he said, when I'm the most stressed out, I'm actually sitting on pit road. I'm about to go out. I hear that car go by before me. Official waves me on and I know it's my turn. And he's like, I got this taped up car. I'm ready to send it down into turn one and just see what happens. And not only that, but I'm the only car on the track, and I've got the entire industry watching me. And it was really that sort of light bulb from a design perspective that was like, oh, we need to put a lot more emotion into not just the racing, but all of these other stages that the drivers go through on a race weekend.
One of the good challenges, I think, for us trying to build this product is the sensory overload and putting you in the moment, like right before you get into the car, feeling like, the spectacle of the Daytona 500, the pre-race, all the build-up, bringing all of that in and trying to build the anxiety and build the nerves up in the user so that they realize how critical a moment is and they feel that pressure and anxiety to perform and succeed. And that's a fun challenge, but one I think we're up to the task. Visit NASCAR25.com for more information on the game, and make sure you follow us on social media at NASCAR25Game.
Tonight, on Countdown to Green, we take a look back at how segment number 2 was decided at Kansas. Spire Motorsports stop in for a chat. And we check out how you're racing at home in the Logitech Show Us Your Race segment. All of that and more coming up on Countdown to Green.
welcome to the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing series. This is Countdown to Green, and we are getting ready for our race at Iowa. I'm your host, Camille Salazar-Hadaway, and joining me, we have Alan Cavada and Ryan Vargas. Now, guys, we are heading in to segment 3, the first race of segment 3. Producer Drew reminded us the 10th race of the season. Yep. How you feeling, Ryan?
Well, it's getting down to the nitty-gritty. You mentioned it. We're in segment 3. This is go time. The playoffs are around the corner. No better way to start than short track racing.
Absolutely. Running out of chances to get that victory, lock yourself in the playoffs, and we go to a track that's a short track. It's got some different physics tonight. It's got a different surface, a lot of newness for these drivers. Can someone learn something others can't and make a surprise? I don't know, Camille. We'll see it tonight.
Yes, it's short track, and we have a different format, which we'll be talking about a little bit more as we get into Countdown to Green. But for now, we got to talk about Kansas. We had a lot of our eNASCAR drivers there at the race, of course, taking in the race, but also hanging out with some fans, doing some autographs. So let's check out how that all went.
Have beef hot dogs here, and my main goal is to I'm just trying not to burn them. Me personally, back at home, I like to just let them just sit there for maybe 45 seconds. We got people over here knocking stuff down.
Is it rolling now? Now it's rolling? I can't see. You keep saying my name. Go Hawks. Wow. That's crazy. We're out here with Coca-Cola Racing, signing some autographs out here in Kansas. Kind of kicking off the weekend, so it's going to be a fun day and fun weekend.
Who are you going for on the race tonight?
For the truck side, probably Raj or Caden over here. We know them well from iRacing. Don't put it in the wall. Yeah, probably one of them. And Cup side, I don't know, just pulled for a good race.
Man, and what just an awesome event put together by the Kansas City Pioneers and the whole folks at eNASCAR. It is so awesome to see these really competitive drivers. They are so fierce on the racetrack, but it's cool to see them get along, but also be able to use NASCAR's platform, mingle with the fans and meet a lot of the drivers, hang out with Raj. He's really popular amongst these racers, so it's just really awesome to see just that integration there.
Absolutely. I love seeing them get the respect they deserve, signing some autographs, hanging out with each other. Raj that we saw there in the garage. And when we saw Casey, his hat blew off when those cars went by, about 180? I mean, really, the reality, the sim side, I loved it all.
Well, I was just trying to I was taking down notes on how to cook a hot dog on the grill. It looked very stressful.
It was really philosophical. It was really philosophical there for a minute.
45 seconds.
Right. Yeah, I feel like you may need to cook them a little bit more, but that's just my opinion. If at home you have tips on how to cook your beef hot dogs, let us know on all of our socials. I'd love to take all the notes down. But from real life in Kansas to, of course, our race last time on Kansas, you got to take us through what happened, Ryan.
Yeah, right off the bat, Bobby Zielinski gets shoved into the grass after a bad start. It was chaos all night. You saw this early contender there. Steven Wilson gets put into the wall, but that is not the last we hear from him. He makes a pretty good recovery, but Alan, action all over the racetrack. It was chaos from start to finish.
Unbelievable. Real World Kansas is one of the best, and Sim Kansas one of the best as well. 3-4 wide racing. We saw that Bobby Z incident start this race, so that was so pivotal because he came in contending to get the section win in this season for the segment 2 win, and another incident there for Bobby Z. I mean, he went into this race with a lot. Our friend Blake hit the wall. No good there. There was a lot of action. Yeah, a lot of controversy on that one, but a lot of incidents. I mean, in this race, it was action-packed coming off that corner, Ryan.
Yeah, I mean, you see it there. These ERA cars, they seem to be in the middle of all these incidents there at Kansas there. I mean, as we ride over with Nate Stewart, avoiding the chaos there. But nonetheless, it just really came down to the wire. We talked about Bobby Z entering this race top of the sheet up for the segment standings, and really right off the bat the order was shuffled and we saw just nothing but comers and goers all night. Right there you see Colin Bowden makes an amazing save. Man, I mean, from start to finish, we talked about it, Alan. It is so crucial to make sure you capitalize on all these points. And we see right here, Brian LaPrade tries to take advantage of a late race restart, but gets collected in a wreck. You see how well that went, but it didn't matter because at the end of the day, the two dominators, Tucker Minter, Steven Wilson, 1-2 at the line, and Steven Wilson emerges on top. So, man, it's chaos. And right off the bat right there, you see it. Segment 2 standing, Steven Wilson leaves with 3,000 clams in his pocket as well as those 5 bonus playoff points. So that's going to be really key here. Big thing that I'm looking at, Zach Novak, segment 1 winner, all the way down in P12. What happened, buddy? Come on. But no, nonetheless, crazy racing there. Segment 2 proved to be nothing but chaos. And right there, we look at segment 3. This is the first race of segment 3. This is I guess you could call it the normal, quote unquote, segment here, but nonetheless, we start off at Iowa, go to Dover, then Chicago Street Race, another road course right there, Indianapolis, and then we head to Echo Park Speedway at Atlanta Super Speedway to end the regular season. Oh man, I couldn't think of a crazier way to wrap this regular season up, Alan.
Yeah, only 5 more races, as you can see, before the playoffs start. Here are the current standings. Steven Wilson gets win number 4, 1-upping Tucker Minter with his 3 wins. Colin Keister has the win. What that means is if all these drivers can stay in the top 20 in points, they're guaranteed their playoff spot. But then look down there toward 10th. Malik Ray +8 on the rest of the field. It's going to be such an interesting cut line. Again, if one of the drivers on the right side of the screen can get that victory and really kind of jumble things up, plenty to be done. And don't forget the team side of things as well. Spire Motorsports, Steven Wilson, Femi had a great night the other night, really helped them eject up to the lead up there in first. At Lassie and Williams Sim Racing, now 19 back. Channel 199, they had all sorts of bad luck the other day. Now 34 back. William Byron there in the top 4.
Yeah, and leaving Kansas, it just kind of has me really thinking about these two guys right here on the screen. Tucker Minter, Steven Wilson. It is going to come down to the wire for the regular season, and truthfully, I think it's going to go all the way down to the finale. These two drivers have been the class of the field. Truly, they've been stinking up the show. Honestly, you could flip a coin, Alan, and either side, I would say I believe you, because they have just been that dominant, Alan.
Yeah, and look, same here. What we saw in Kansas, it's just what a treat for the fans of eNASCAR. We saw the best of the best going at it at the end of this race. Steven Wilson, Tucker Minter, former champ Casey Kerwin was up there, former champ Parker White was up there, Vicente Salas in the top 5. I mean, if you want to be the best, you got to beat some of the best drivers this series has ever had, and we saw it all on display in Kansas. Love the track, love the competition it produces because the cream really does rise. Look at those drivers at the top of the field.
It's awesome.
Just a great finish that night.
Can't beat it.
Yeah, you can't beat it at all. And you know what? I feel like a lot of the drivers are feeling the pressure as we're heading into segment 3. You know, money has been drawn and given out. Well, you know what we like to do right here? We like to check in with the drivers, of course, and the number 1 team, Spire Motorsports, are the drivers that we're going to check in with tonight. The first one being Femi Olatunbosun.
Regular Coke in a bottle, though. I prefer the bottle over the can. That's my favorite product. My name is Femi Olatunbosun, and I'm from Revere, Massachusetts. I play a lot of FPS games outside of playing iRacing, and I'd say it proudly right here, right now, I'm the best FPS player in the series. But if I'm not playing iRacing or first-person shooter, I'm probably playing FIFA. I'm more experienced coming into my 5th season in the series, so I'm expecting to improve and get better every year. Being teammates with Steven Wilson and us driving for Spire Motorsports are the 2 biggest motivators for me. My strategy at first, when I was quite new to the series, was to stay up front and try to control the pack, and that's how I won a race. But ever since I've won that race, I'm just trying to be in the back for the most part and then get to the front at the end. And that has proven to be the wrong strategy, so we're gonna go back to the old method that worked and try to be at the front and dominate the races all throughout. I wish we still raced at Auto Club and Chicagoland. I think those could actually take the place of the road courses. Forget the road courses, just add those 2 tracks to the schedule and everything is good. To get to the top, I need to stop starting races in the back with all the squirrels in the series, man. I'm so unlucky racing all of them, and I just end up in something I didn't cause. So if I can get away from them, then I can get to the top. I think the GOAT of eNASCAR, I think I gotta give it to Ray Alfala still. You know, nobody's gotten close to 4 championships, so as of now, it's still him. I think my biggest accomplishment so far in iRacing was that Daytona win. My Daytona win was my first win in eNASCAR, and it still means the most to me. It's the only one I have. Hopefully we're adding to that tally this year. The biggest tip I'd have for somebody trying to join our series is to just keep racing. The more you race, the better you'll get over time. And either you got the speed or you don't, but if you keep racing, that's how you're gonna find out. I want people to remember me in the series as being someone who, for the most part, looks different from everybody else in the series, but I've got all the same speed as everybody else in the series. So I kind of want to be that person that, you know, other people can look to and say, iRacing is an opportunity for me to be able to race and be competitive in if you can't do it in real life. I've got the most riz. I think Malik might be close because Malik's got a girlfriend. I don't got a girlfriend, but I don't have one by choice, so I think I've got the most riz.
Oh man, well, we take a look at Femi there, the driver with self-proclaimed the most riz in the series. I never thought I'd say that on a professional broadcast, but you know, nonetheless, 5th season in eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing series. Time flies. I mean, he's now kind of proven to be a little bit of a veteran in the series, but currently sitting in P12 in points, just outside of that top 10 playoff cut line. But really quiet year, but nonetheless, he's proving to himself and to the eNASCAR field that he's going to be a contender up there. He just needs a few more good races, needs to get away from the squirrels, as he said, Alan. But, you know, it's going to take some work, but I think he can get there.
Yeah, and he's doing his part. We saw that in Kansas to win that team championship. That means a lot for Spire. That means a lot to both of those drivers, and they both can contribute.
You know what, that's why he's just focused. He needs no distractions outside racing, and he chooses
Mr.
that.
Riz.
So he's just focused to get his riz up and get his racing focus. But you know what we're gonna focus on? We're gonna focus on your rigs at home, because it is time for Logitech Show Us Your Rigs, where we get to see your setups. And this first one is coming from Chuck Allen.
Wow, look at that. That is a real racing seat. Doesn't get more authentic than that when you are trying to do your iRacing Logitech wheel, I think it looks like, and a Tony Stewart fan. I mean, how could you be better? I would not want to be near him on the track. Smoke was aggressive. I bet Chuck is as well.
Our next one is from Emmanuel.
Wow.
This is a really fancy setup.
Wow. Yeah, no, I mean, look at these. He's got the nice 80-20 rig here, 3 curved monitors. I mean, just completely wrapping around him. He's, from what I see, it's one of those monitors where you actually got to unhook it to get in and out of the sim. So really nice there. Got the alternate wheels on the wall there. Got the oval rim, got the formula wheel, and then F1 on the big screen, right? Got to stay entertained, you know, under the yellow flags here on iRacing.
Let's go to our third rig. Our third rig is from Jeremy, and Chewbacca almost scared me.
I love, wait, Star Wars fan, nothing wrong with that. I love mixing all the things. Triple monitor, love that. Up there on a desk, sort of a DIY setup. This is all you got to do. I mean, this is what you need to go iRacing, and Logitech setup as well. Not bad. I like it. The more monitors, the better. And you got Chewy looking down on you. That can't go wrong.
You got the Chewy, you got the AT-AT over there, or the
Wow.
This one is, this is in a closet. Which really, it doesn't take up much space to race, right, Ryan?
It's like a dorm room.
definitely taking advantage of the space, allotted there, right? Squeeze it into the closet, but you see right there, he's got the VR hanging, right? You don't need a monitor. iRacing, you can race in VR, and that is one of the perfect things about this. Taking full advantage of the setup there. Really nice job. And I like the Dale flag over there in the corner there. Nice touch.
Thank you, Dale. Shooting for that one. Yeah, we all love the love for Dale. Oh my gosh, more problematic. We love the pets here.
Kitty.
Oh, how could you move that nice little kitty? I mean, you just have to wait until he or she moves before you can go iRacing. But I get it. I respect it. You got to respect your animals, and that's cute. We want more animals here on Show Us Your Rigs.
And he has a little handkerchief as well. Well, you know what? Show us all your pet rigs. Okay, well, that's what we want to see. Of course, also we want to see your rigs at home. But use the hashtag eNASCAR and also tag eNASCARGG and at iRacing to send us your rigs as well. We love to see them. Now, as I mentioned, we are checking in with Aspire Motorsports driver, and of course that means we have to check in with the winner of segment 2, Steven Wilson.
The GOAT of eNASCAR will be me here pretty soon. My name is Steven Wilson from Iowa City, Iowa. This is my 4th season in the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing series. My favorite sports team is the Iowa Hawkeyes. The non-racing video games that I play, I'm into college football 25 right now, so a lot of sports games, and then some shooters as well. First NASCAR video game I played was probably NASCAR 2004. My hobbies outside of video games right now, my new puppy really is taking up a lot of my time. His name's Goose, he's a wiener dog, so I'm just hanging out with him a lot. Tracks I'm most looking forward to, I'm really happy Kansas is back on the schedule. I think it's a great race every time. Obviously Homestead with my success there, and Iowa, the home track. Least favorite, just all the play tracks. It never ends well for me. The track I expect myself to win at this year would be all of them. I think I can do it anywhere, but specifically I'll say Kansas because that's my favorite one.
Wilson protects on the bottom. Minter going to try to make it work around the outside as they come up at turn 4. Wilson slides up, shuts the door, blocks low to the inside. Steven Wilson, 4-time winner in 2025.
Biggest motivation for me is just being on a new team, racing for Aspire Motorsports, and just getting that winning feeling back after being so close last year. Biggest tip for getting into this series is just to run Road to Pro and then put yourself out there. Get contacts in the series. The more people you know, the better chance you have of getting there. Have fun. It's a cool series to be a part of, but also if it becomes too serious, then you might lose the drive. So you just want to keep having fun to keep striving for the top. Biggest accomplishment for me was for sure the championship in 2023, but also just getting to that live event 3 straight times. I just want to be remembered as someone who is always at the top, fighting for wins every year, fighting for championships, but also just be memorable for personality and who I am off the track as well. At this point now, I aspire to become the GOAT of the series.
And it's really great to hear from Steven Wilson there, the dominator this season, as we take a live look at practice right here, getting his bearings adjusted, right? But you heard it there, Alan. He's wanting to make a statement, and that statement is he wants to be the GOAT. Everybody, when they were asked that question, they had a name. It was Alfala, it was all these other guys, right? But Steven Wilson, he knows that he has a chance to be the GOAT. He has a chance to become a multi-time champion in the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing series, and truthfully, he's the odds-on favorite. He's making his way forward to being one of the greatest, if not the greatest, in eNASCAR.
4 wins already. I love the swagger. Look, we know he's the target. He knows he's the target. Everybody's gunning for every single week, and he's somehow only getting better. That's Riz, I think the kids call it.
Oh no,
brother.
Alan, we gotta set a limit to Alan using these terms. But yeah, I think Wilson showing that confidence, he called it, that he will win in Kansas. He did it, and maybe he will be the GOAT. We're gonna have to see. We still have a whole segment away and the playoffs as well. But you know what? Tonight in Iowa, it is short track, so the format's a little different than usual. So our team put together a little video to remind you of how the format will work tonight.
It's eNASCAR short track time once again, so let's walk you through the format. Taking its inspiration from the duels at Daytona or your local short track, 2 heat races will precede the feature race, with all taking place in one night of racing. Heat Race 1 will take every driver qualified on the inside row, or the odd positions, and they will race for their starting position on the inside row of the feature. In Heat Race 2, every driver qualified on the outside row, or the even positions, will race for their starting position on the outside row for the feature. In both races, the top 10 drivers of each heat will score points according to their finishing position, in addition to the points that all drivers will score in the feature. Finally, we put the field back together for the feature race, and we go racing one final time on the night. Drivers will have to be aggressive, but still keep it clean if they want to finish up in the heat points and have a good starting spot for the feature.
So, to sum it up for you, Heat 1 sets the inside lane. Heat 2 sets the outside lane. Top 10 get points, so you don't want to hang out in the back. You want to get those points. And Alan, you got a little friend here. Look at the little fella. Look at him.
Yeah, I think he understands the format. We said we wanted more animals on our rig, so I went and got one for us. This is Wallace, so good job,
Can we get a fourth box for Wallace? Or you know what, even better yet, Alan, if you want Wallace to sub in anytime, I think we're okay to take Wallace for Countdown.
You know what he has? He has a lot. Never mind. About a Riz.
Oh no. Oh no. All right, let's stop Alan from talking because we got to talk about Iowa, Ryan.
Yeah, no, we're heading to Newton, Iowa here for tonight's event. This track is 0.18 miles, so it is a short track. It may have some tendencies of those bigger tracks, but nonetheless, we are at a short track. Banking in the turns is 12 to 14 degrees, with the front stretch banked at 10, the back stretch banked at 4. This place opened in 2006, and the 2024 winner was Steven Wilson. Remember, guys, we had that refresh. This is a totally different racetrack than we had last season. Different physics, different grip, different signage. We're going to be in for a totally different show than we did last year.
And because it's so different, we have to look at some trends. We don't have many trends to look at for this year, so we're going through the entire season. Only one driver so far this season has an average start better than 10th, and that's Zach Novak. His average starting position is 8th, so we know he does well in qualifying. Needs to up those finishes, especially in this new segment. In 5 of the 9 races so far this year, the pole setter has finished 11th or worse. That's interesting. In 3 of them, they finished 29th or worse. You would figure getting the pole brings the speed, brings the laps led. Not necessarily the case. So the pole setter, not always the best this year. Only twice has the winner led the most laps. The laps leader has never finished outside the top 10 though. So obviously you're up front, you're going to finish well, but does it guarantee you a victory? Not so much this year, but the Tuckers, Steven Wilson's the world, not bad. Speaking of them, Tucker Minter, Steven Wilson have leads in average finish. 7th for Tucker Minter, average finish of 9th for Steven Wilson. Get this, 34 drivers have an average finish of 25th or better. Sort of a crapshoot, but that just means there's a lot of talent. You never know who's going to up their game from week to week. That's a pretty good average finish for a big group of drivers. What is weird is we have not had a first-time winner so far this season. Blaze Crawford is the highest ranked rookie so far, 17th in points. But look, normally throughout the seasons, we see a surprise. We see the new talent rising, certainly plenty of talent throughout the field. But so far this year, no first-time winner. 5 more races before the playoffs, guys. Can we get this new winner to shake up the playoff tree, or are the veterans just going to keep, hammering down on the field? We got to see it.
We have Atlanta. We have a Speedway.
That is true. Echo Park. We have Echo Park Speedway. That is true. Yeah. So we'll have to see if a new winner comes up with that, because that is very odd to not see. But yeah, we'll have to get to that. But we got to talk about our picks. Let's update the board. Of course, last week.
That's a lot of fun.
All right, I did win.
Ooh, yeah.
But yeah, I'm catching up, Ryan. So
yeah.
Be scared. You better be scared. But because we have a different format for the race tonight, there's also a different format for how our picks will work. What we'll do, we'll all have our pick for who we think will take the overall race. But if we all pick the same person, then we also made a second pick. If we tied and made the pick for the same person that will take the overall race, we're going to actually pick our second pick, who is based on the heats, they're placing in their heat. And whoever's second pick placed better in their heat, well, they win their pick points. If that makes sense. There's a lot going on. So with that, Ryan, Does Wallace understand, Alan?
Wallace, you got this? He's got it. We got the points lead. We're good.
Well, let's get to our picks. This is who we think is going to take the overall race. Ryan, who's your pick?
Well, you guys have, bagged your points by picking the odds-on favorites every week. So you know what? I might as well get in with the crowd. I'm picking Steven Wilson. He's the hometown hero. He's been leading the points. He won the last segment. I mean, come on. We got to pick him.
Yeah. Hey, look, same here. You'd be foolish not to. He's got a new house. He's got a new college degree. He's got the championship trophy. He's racing in his home state. Steven Wilson does it again.
Yeah, and you two picked Steven Wilson. And I picked Steven Wilson as well. I mean, it was a no-brainer, which means that we're at a tie.
This was
so
played ahead
we
of
have
time
to go
by
into
accident.
Yeah,
Nice.
we're in a tie
Just in
for
case.
our picks. Just in case. So we did pick a second pick, again, based on their heat placement. Ryan, who's your second pick?
My second pick is Zach Novak. He's a veteran of this series, and he has proven to be very adaptive throughout the years. He's gone through different packages, different playoff formats, different builds on iRacing. No matter what the build, he's gonna be fast. He's gonna be at the front. Zach Novak's my second pick.
All right, I'm going with another veteran. I like your reasoning, so I'm going with a veteran who's proven to have some success at Iowa. I'm going with Graham Bolin. I mean, he's had some success here, and I know it's new, but you mentioned adapting, mentioned being a veteran. I think Graham Bolin does well. Just need him to do well in this heat race. Give me some points, Graham. Come on, man.
Well, there's no ties here because I did choose Parker White for my pick, and we're gonna have to see out of all three of us, three of our picks, who gets that placement. This is the first time we've actually done a tiebreaker pick, which is making it very interesting, and I'm also kind of scared. So we'll be watching this race very, very, very closely. Now, final thoughts before we head into Iowa, Ryan?
I'm just excited to see how this refresh affects the racing tonight, Alan. We're going to see a lot of differences. You guys are going to be racing different. It's going to be interesting, the wrench this throws, not into the night, but the rest of the season.
Absolutely. Like we keep mentioning, only 5 more races before the playoffs start. So who can take advantage? Maybe someone can. Maybe someone has learned something about these new physics, about these new setups, this new track tonight. Can someone do it and vault themselves in the playoffs? That's what I want to see.
All right, well, we're going to have to see how the playoffs go. I know a lot of, nervousness is probably building up with these drivers tonight, but you got to get serious. It's the start of segment 3 happening right here in Iowa. So we're wishing you all good luck, and we're wishing you all at home a good time watching the race. So be sure to grab a snack, then come back for the race right after this break. Thank you for watching Countdown to Green.
Welcome to the Proving Ground. Welcome to Metal Crunching. It's all or nothing for 26 weeks of the year. Welcome to the NASCAR Xfinity Series, only on the CW.
Every time you sit behind the wheel, you buckle up for the unexpected. You get ready to take on the competition and brace yourself for the chaos, the speed, the weather, the unknown. But above all, when strapping in, you put trust in yourself, your intuition, making your guide to win, your drive to win.
He's a winner in this.
And nothing is going to stop you from winning.
Welcome to Truck Country, where sweat becomes fuel, bumpers become bruisers, and pedals become pedestals. where a future is written one lap at a time and burned into history. Welcome to the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series.
Tucker Minter looks low, fades high. Wilson, 4-time winner in 2025.
Every single moment, caught up in the motion. Got no use for caution. Hope you're ready for a fight. I believe it, I can see it. If it's in my sights, I achieve it. Ain't no leaving, no defeating. Show up, complete, and repeat it. I believe it, I can see it. If it's in my sights, I achieve it. Ain't no leaving, no defeating. Show up, complete, and repeat it. Every day, prove that game. I always go 100%. Start to end. Every day, prove that game. I always go 100%. Start to end.
The road to $500,000 has reached the final regular season segment. Tonight, from iRacing's virtual Iowa Speedway, we say good evening, sim racing fans, and welcome to round 10 of the 2025 eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series. Well, there are 5 races left until we go playoff racing this season, so every single Tuesday night from this point on, that much more important. And as always, happy that you're with us on the iRacing Esports Network with myself, Evan Pasoko. Our Kenneth Bueno is enjoying some family time overseas, so we're so delighted to be joined by Jake Sperry in the broadcast booth tonight. And Jake, you were on Countdown to Green a couple of weeks ago. You've been keeping up with the series, and you picked a good time to jump on in. This is a critical part of the season, and with tonight's format that we'll talk a little bit more about in a moment, it is a maximum points night with the heat races.
Absolutely, and so today is the time. Tonight is the moment, and if you can go and score those points, well, you'll do yourself a huge favor when it comes to the championship, not just for those up at the very top looking to maximize their points all, but for those in and around that top 10 looking to try and book their place into the playoffs. A win and you're in, but it's also when you're considering how dominant the front two of Tucker Minter and of course Stephen Wilson has been. This is a points championship to book yourself a place in the playoff. Every point matters, and when you've got everything on the line, now is the time to strike.
And if those big two continue to do what they've been doing, and that is win race after race after race, just means there's going to be that many more points paying positions into the playoff grid available. As always, if you're a NASCAR Fan Rewards member, now is your chance to enter tonight's exclusive member code, Iowa22W. Put that on your member dashboard. Lock in your 50 points for tuning in tonight. If you're not a member, it is never too late to sign up. You can scan the QR code on your screen or go to NASCAR.com/fan rewards to be a part of it. Well, we come off of the shortest segment of the year, the 4-race segment number 2, in which Stephen Wilson takes home the segment title. That's a $3,000 bonus. It is also some more playoff points that he'll carry into Michigan. So fast forward to segment number 3, Jake. 2 things going on. For the likes of Wilson and Minter, who have already got wins, they're looking to score more wins, get more playoff points, pad their advantage headed into Michigan. Concurrent to that battle, of course, these next 5 races will determine the field headed into the postseason, and it is quite a diverse group of 5 racetracks.
It absolutely is. And so when you look at where we are with Iowa, which is almost a case of cookie cutter but shrunk down a little bit, Dover with that high banking is going to be very much a little bit like Nashville. Then you've got the Chicago street circuit, which in and of itself has its uniqueness, and expect those street circuit specialists to come out of the woodworks. Indianapolis always proves to be a little bit of a unicorn out there. And then of course Echo Park, which will come into play on August 5th, which I think is going to be one of those races where you sit down and you say, well, foot to the floor, and just hope that you close your eyes on the final laps. I think it's going to be really interesting heading towards this playoff season, but when it comes to short track qualifying that we've just had going on, they've had their standard qualifying, 5 minutes to go through, no inverts, no changes, no points, but it's about the rows. If you're on the left, on the inside, you're in heat 1. If you're on the right, you're in heat 2.
And it's critical because unlike the sprint race format, which hands out points for the qualifying times, points will be handed out tonight for the heat race results. So all those drivers who were in the odd-numbered spots, they're up first, evens are up second. They will not only set the grid for the feature race, that's where the most points are paid out, but your top 10 finishers do get points in the heat. So instead of a maximum of 40 points being on the line tonight, if you win a heat and if you go on to win tonight's 90-lap feature race, you're looking at a maximum of 50. Well, let's go down trackside and introduce you to tonight's Coca-Cola starting grid. And it is the first pole of the season for the ERA Esports team's number 34 of Michael Cozy Jr. So his Jesse Iwuji car is going to roll off from row 1 next to the Kansas City Pioneers 24 of Casey Kerwin. Row number 2, it is the Jim Beaver Esports 5 and 8 Stewart next to Travis Pastrana's entry, the Channel 199 Sim Racing number 2 of Zach Novak. Back on row 3, Nick Ottinger looking for something to turn his 2025 around. The William Byron Esports 25, it's inside of your defending Iowa race winner. It's the hometown hero, Spire Motorsports' Steven Wilson.
And that leads over to row number 4, where Donovan Strauss sits himself in play. Cody Bias there alongside for the Apex Racing team. Colin Bowden then houses 9th position with Connor Yerashak rounding out that top 10. Femi Alatin-Boson will go from 11th. And then for the Burasud Plus team, BS Plus, that is Garrett Lowe in 12th.
Lucky number 13 tonight, inside of row 7 to go to the Kevin Harvick Incorporated 29 and Jimmy Mullis. He's next to the RFK Racing 17 of Timmy Holmes. Row number 8, we'll see Seth the Merchant in the FGRXL E-Racing 14. Line up next to the Tart Esports 36 of Mr. Kwame Scott. And on row number 9, it is the E-Racer 69 of Tyler Gary, Parker Kligerman, and Landon Castle. I'm sure team owners watch it on. He's next to the Junior Motorsports 88 of Brian LaPrade through P18.
And that just leaves the final 2 out there into play. Matt Booser, 62 in 19th. And all the way down at the back, it's top and tails here in Heat 1 for ERA. Bobby Zelensky in 20th.
It's a look top to bottom at your Coca-Cola starting grid. Remember, only 20 drivers competing in this. They will all make the feature race. There are no knockout eliminations in the heat race format, but only points available to the drivers who finish inside of the top 10. 10 points to first, 1 point to 10th. You can do the math from there on in between. And with Cozy up on the front row, Casey Kerwin up there as well. It'd be an interesting go at it for this 30-lap sprint, essentially. Again, we have not seen this format since we went racing at Richmond, and it is the only time that we'll see this heat race format through the rest of the season. That's the man who's got the front row seat to get this one underway. Let's get a word with Michael Cozy Jr.
Michael Cozy Jr. from the ERA Esports team picks up the pole for this first seat. Cozy, new Iowa, new build. Any idea what we should expect from this race tonight?
No. I don't got any clue, man. I did all the hard work, had to put in a lap. So far, I like this new Iowa more than the old Iowa, I'll tell you that. But no, man, I believe we got a fast ERA Esports Chevrolet Core Power Fairlife, man. Got us fueled up for the second half of the season. So try to come out here strong and keep track position. That's the name of the game tonight. Track position. They only repaved half the track here, so really cut down the distance we have to kind of race it out, and seems like we got a lot more dirty air than usual. So good luck everybody back there. Hopefully I can just cruise out here in the clean air.
This is his best starting spot by a long shot. 13th was his previous best qualifying effort this season. He's going to roll off P1 in this heat.
Appreciate that, James. James will be talking to the drivers over the course of this race. Again, Jake, we take another look at that Coca-Cola race program. We are going to set the grid for the inside line for the feature coming up right now. So race winners securing the pole for the feature, seconds going to get third, so on and so forth. But the lights are out and we get set to go. There's a whole lot of new tonight. It is a brand new scan of this Iowa Speedway. It is a brand new update to the iRacing service, new aero model, new models on the cars, new tire models. We'll be talking about all of the new as this race goes on. But first, we have to drop the green flag for heat race number 1. Michael Cozy Jr.'s got a front row seat. Green flag in the air, already stacking up. It's trouble for Nate Stewart. 5 car out of shape. What a save. We stay green off the turn number 1, but it is a disastrous opening moment for Nate Stewart, who quickly drops down the leaderboard. Up front, it's Cozy leading to turn 3.
Well, it's Donovan Strauss, the biggest loser there through all of that. A chain reaction. Everybody from about the 5th or 6th row decided they wanted to have a jump. No dice there on the start, and Nate Stewart ends up being the one who gets run over at the front, and everyone scrambles to avoid. It's great news for the front two in Cozy Jr. and for Casey Kerwin. They get the clearance and separation they want of 7/10 of a second. It's Zach Novak and, of course, Stephen Wilson, who then have to give the chase a bit of 2 wide in the middle with Bias, and I believe Femi Olatunbosun.
And for all the chatter there was in segment 2 about Tucker Minner being a race winner in 2 of the 4 goes at it, it was Stephen Wilson who took home that segment 2 championship. Again, his 4th win of the season. This year is the 3rd time we've seen Wilson put 4 wins down in a single year, continuing to cement himself as one of the top talents in this series. But again, in these heats, you don't get those cautions, so it's bad luck for the news to Donovan Strauss. He already falls a lap down in P20 as he is forced down for some issues. Your leaders trying to spread out. You're not seeing that, though, tail end of the top 10. That's Cody Bias just ahead of a side-by-side bout. That's got the 14 of Seth the Merchant on the inside of the 99 car. That's Garrett Lowe up top.
Yeah, and it's a black flag penalty out there as well for Donovan Strauss, and that's either for entering the pit lane illegally or for speeding on pit lane, which he'd be dinged for in that scenario. So not much that could be done about that. It's a bad night that goes worse, but the good news is it might be a bad start, but we'll have another chance when 90 laps comes into play in the feature. But at least right now, it's a case of what can you scrap for in this stage. On to lap 6 already. These laps will fly on quick, and I am keeping my eyes firmly peeled here on what Casey Kerwin can offer right now for the Kansas City Pioneers team. This is where you're going to start thinking, well, what is the driver in front managing? And right now, it's lane 2 that everyone seems to want to run to, not going to want to go all the way down to the apron. We take a look on the bottom corner, or the bottom of the screen, sorry, here at this checkup, and watch from about the 5th row back how everyone tries to get a run, and then it's pretty much a case of Diana Ross Racing. Everyone's in the middle of a chain reaction.
Nate Stewart bailed out by the car on the bottom, but again, it doesn't end up helping him too much. The car doesn't go all the way around. I suppose it could be worse. That car's still on the racetrack, down in the number 16 position, so certainly better than it being down and in the inside wall. Continuing through this 30-lap sprint, 2 cars looking to make a move at the same time. To Merchant goes under Bias for P7. Looked like Garrett Lowe was thinking about going to the inside of Seth at the same time. And the 14 gets the right of way there. You jump on board with Bobby Zelensky, the ERA Esports team car. Started dead last. He did not put down a time in qualifying. He's already driven his way from last to the points. He's P10 right now, looking for more.
Well, this will be P9, straight down the inside here at 1, looking to get the drive back up the circuit. They fight on that exit then of turn 2, which really does have its own uniqueness as it goes through. It's an elongated section of repaving there down on the bottom of the circuit as you move on up. And so you get that extra case of about 150 meters to go and work with to say, right, let's charge off the exit and try and fight for that drive up the circuit. That works for Zelensky, but threading the needle absolutely magnificently, and a little tap to the wall as Garrett Lowe does have to, in fact, look around low because Zelensky is moving with absolute poise and precision and is wanting to pick up another one, make that easy, using the toe from DeMerchant in front.
So now 13 spots gained for the 22 machine of Bobby Zelensky and others who continue to kind of carve their way through the field. He is on a tear. How far up the leaderboard is he going to be able to climb? We jump up that scoring pylon, check it in with the battle for P2. Casey Kerwin was able to pace Michael Cozy Jr. pretty good through the opening, we'll call it a dozen laps or so. But the last couple of trips around this 7th, 8th mile short track, he has started to slip off of the leader. Cozy's advantage now a race best 0.6 of a second. It means that he is feeling the pressure from Zach Novak and Steven Wilson. Novak looking to the bottom in that McConey setup shop. Toyota can't make it sick that time on the exit. And as that three-way battle goes on for P2, you can see the three-way conglomerate in the midfield. That's the 6 on the bottom, Bowden, middle of all the chaos.
Yeah, Nick Ottinger's found in there. Kwame Scott's having a look. They'll move back to 2 wide as they scrap off for the exit. Now remember, each and every position is not one position when it comes to the feature. It's actually 2 that comes along. So there is more emphasis to go and make these moves. It's the difference between jumping a whole row up, if you can go and make that pass. Matt Booser in the middle of that. But looking low, Zach Novak trying. You can go down and maybe work 1 lap, maybe 2 laps. But the tyres are going to start dropping off here around lap 14 to 15. Had a chance to talk with one of the drivers earlier on today saying, well, we're only going to be able to get 50 to 55 maximum out of the tyres on a long run before the tyres decide they might actually want to burst. So it's going to be a case of sit down, work with what you've got, because especially when you're in the pack like Kwame Scott is at the moment here for Latarte Esports, it will be a case of manage the tyre wear, especially here in 30, because you want something to attack for the final 5 as we reach halfway here in heat number 1.
And you see that intentional positioning of the car out of Nick Ottinger. He did not want that 36 machine to be down in the dark asphalt. This overhead view is going to give you a really good perspective. When we say this is a new scan of the Iowa Speedway, that means it is a new laser scan. Yes, there's really nice art updates, right? That may be the first thing you notice, but the physical racing surface itself has been rescanned. So the old Iowa, we'll call it, that we competed on for years, and in which this race was contested on a year ago, was a moment in time, right? When that track was scanned, it does not age on the sim. It's always a representation of when it was scanned. So iRacing, along with many other at the NASCAR tracks, rescanned this Iowa Speedway. And since it was last scanned, they did some selective repaving, Jake. Not the whole track, only those dark bits. So the inside, we'll call it 2 lanes, maybe 2.5 lanes in the corners. The front stretch, the back stretch, not repaved. It is bumpy on the straights, but you get down into the corner, super smooth down low. So you do not want to be in the light stuff up top that is not part of that repave.
And that's going to put a little bit of setup jeopardy into play for drivers as they look around and work around the shocks. And speaking of drivers who are stuck up top, I've just noticed Matt Booser find himself right up in that group that you're talking about. You don't want to be up there if you've got a car that works absolutely fantastically when it attacks through 1 and 2, attacks through 3 and 4. You've got to be so switched on to how the car is going to be responding underneath you. And those 4 boots that you've got, front right, front left, and then the rears, they're all going to be doing slightly different things through each and every single corner. So you're going to be switched on to where you can find any sort of gain with where the tyres are starting to wear out. So as you sit down, as you try your level best to go and make those tiny adjustments of the line through the lap, you're looking around and thinking, well, why is this driver in front able to drive away? Maybe it might be a case of a slight setup improvement.
And you can see those repave parts very intentional, right? It's the bottom 2 lanes into the corner. You're going to want to maximize your time in the dark. So right there, Mullis, top side of it. When they come off the corner, look, the 3rd lane's paved. So they're going to jump up. They're going to unwind the wheel on exit. You want to try to be in that dark as much as possible. Mullis, also a big mover. Started 13th. He is up to the number 5 spot once more as we come to 9 laps to go in heat race number 1. On the bottom is Steven Wilson, who for the first time tonight struggled in a little bit after he picked up 2 spots off of the jump. No other changes. Inside of the top spots, it's still Cozy 1, Kerwin 2, and Novak 3. And Mullis squeezed on the bottom. Wilson very clearly wants to keep that outer lane to play defense.
And when you've got the group in front of you working that 2nd lane, it certainly always looks to pay that dividends. And a little bit further back now with Nate Stewart trying to recover after that hit right at the very beginning, dealing with Cody Bias, Brian LaPrade just behind, and then Femi Alaton-Boson in front. Tyler Gary is there as well in play. it's pretty much the Wild West back here. Any place you can, find yourself some space, work to try and throw it, because you're going to run out of opportunity here if you can't find the passes. If you're going forward, you're doing the right thing late. If you're going backwards, you're going to have to try and hold, and you're going to have to try and get the elbows out.
It's interesting to see that 88 of Brad trying a higher lane than what anybody else has done. He still dips down into the new paving. You're seeing the same with Cody Bias behind him, but he's a little bit more brave as this run goes on, as the track takes a little bit of rubber and temperature to use that outside lane into the corner. You see him and Bias all the way up there for the first, we'll call it a third of the corner, but they get a little bit loose under throttle. They're experimenting, trying to figure out anything they can to make things happen. You go on board with Nate Stewart. He's had the opposite of a night compared to your big movers. We saw the big scare from him in the restart box, got a little bit sideways, had some contact. He's down 12 positions. He went from, if he would have finished this race where he started in third, it means he would have gridded up P5 for the feature. Right now, P15, I think that means he'll grid up about 29. That is a big, big loss in this heat race. So it is more of a loss than just, hey, I'm not going to be scoring the bonus points. It's really going to hurt you, because tonight's feature race, yeah, it's a lot longer than these heats. 90 laps, though, track position going to be absolutely crucial. We are not missing anything at the top of the scoring pylon. It has been all Michael Cozy Jr. His advantage a full second over Casey Kerwin P2, and then nearly another full second back to this three-way battle for third. Zach Novak, Jimmy Mullis, Steven Wilson going at it. Mullis completing a pass on the 77.
Yeah, wonderfully done around the outside, actually using the wall for a bit of side draft there, effectively getting a little bit of a run using the aerodynamics and trying to get a bit more. Everybody is wall hugging out of one, looking to get that launch down into one to make that pass. And with 3 laps to go, it's now the bottom that's having to be worked. We talk about the line migration that sometimes comes along in races like these, and we're just starting to reach that point where bottom line isn't working, top line's a bit better, but Jimmy Mullis trying to throw, gets a bit loose though, coming out of 4, and that's going to bring Steven Wilson back to the party with 2 left.
And Wilson seemed to not mind using the outer lane as a defensive tactic. Now he goes on the offense up there in the tire tracks as the number 2 of Zach Novak. So just when Mullis thought he had 4th secured, was looking to get a top 3, now struggling on the bottom as this line slowly creeps up the hill. 1 lap to go up front, though, in heat race number 1. No surprise that Michael Cozy Jr. has got a good Core Power Chevrolet tonight. He was the 3rd best car in group practice earlier today. He was the fastest overall car in single car qualifying. It gave him pole for this first heat, and he is going to go a perfect 30 for 30, secure P1 for the feature. Michael Cozy dusts him for the win in Heat 1 side by side across the start-finish line. That was to the edge for 4th. Mullis just barely losing out to Steven Wilson, and the difference between 4th and 5th, only 9 1/1000ths of a second.
Well, that's what you call a consummate performance drive from Michael Cozy Jr. Everything you want to see there. 1.1 to the good over Casey Kerwin. And you look down the list there, just 100th between Steven Wilson and Jimmy Mullis, but some great drives up through the order. The likes of Bobby Zelensky from 20th all the way up to 7th. Seth the Merchant gaining 9 and Matt Booster gaining 9. But for those who gain, there are those that lose over the second page, with Connor Yerashak in 10th position, because you go all the way down and see the likes of Nick Ottinger there and Nate Stewart finding trouble. So too, Cody Bias.
So those drivers now know where they will line up on the inside row, positions 1, 3, 5, 7, so on and so forth. Let's see if we could get a word. We just talked to him with Michael Cozy Jr. James Pike is now with our race winner.
I'll jump in on this one then. Michael, that is everything that you wanted out of that performance. You got yourself a huge opportunity to say, right, start from the front, work from the front, gain everything you want. Casey was able to hold with you for the first 10 laps, but it seemed for the next 20, it was yours, open free road.
I'm always nervous, man. It gets me a good couple laps to kind of get in the rhythm and get my nerves calm. Yeah, no, it's kind of as expected. Once you got some clean air, it's really difficult to really shape up a pass and follow all the way through with it. And I know this car is really good. Shout out to the Altus Esports boys and all the work they've put into the qualifying setup and the race setup here. So yeah, again, it's everything we needed. We didn't have to work too terribly hard for it, but this is the tricky part now, how to keep this thing up front 90 laps and not mess up any strategies and just keep clean air. So we'll see. I know we got a fast car.
Yeah, certainly doing very well with that. Very quickly before we let you jump away, you got 3 times the amount of time to do it in your feature. Do you feel like it's just going to be a case of rinse and repeat?
I certainly hope so. I've been bit by cautions and what have you. That's the biggest worry is, are we going to have any yellows in the feature? Where do they fall? We have a lot of tire fall off, but again, it's just trying to balance tire wear and track position, and I don't think anybody knows how to do that quite yet, so we'll give it our best.
Well, we'll wish you the best of luck there as Michael Cozy Jr. joins us and has a wonderful drive of things. It might be his era tonight.
He's going to hope to lock things down in the feature like he's hoping his Oklahoma City Thunder going to do in the NBA Finals on Thursday night. One more reminder for NASCAR Fan Awards members. Tonight's code is Iowa22W. Enter that on your member dashboard. Lock in your 50 points. And if you're not signed up yet, you can either scan the QR code on the bottom of the screen or go to NASCAR.com/fan rewards at any time. So let's introduce you to your Coca-Cola starting grid for heat race number 2. These are all the even numbered qualifiers from the single car session earlier. So Ryan Luza, second best overall, means he is pole and the FGR XL eRacing number 12. He's alongside the Tony Kanaan Esports number 11 of Vicente Salas. Row number 2 sees Austin Dillon's number 33 for Taylor Hurst. He's next to the Channel 199 Sim Racing 199 at Dylan Duval. At row number 3, it's the second of those Team Dillon cars, nose to tail. Blaze Crawford in the 3 car is next to the Apex Racing Team 96 of Christopher Hill.
It's very popular out here on row number 4 with Malik Ray for Vegas Inferno and the E-Racer car, the 42 of Logan Clampett there in 8th position. Then you've got Jordi Lopez in 9th and Eddie Kerner there for 6 Karma in 10th position and the 19. Michael Guest will go in the number 21 from 11th with Dylan Alt, who has had a very good start to the season but has started to struggle over the last 4 rounds.
And some more big power on row number 7. The Atlassian Williams Sim Racing 95 of Parker White is next to the Pioneers 48. That's Graham Bolin. Row number 8 is the Hayek Motorsports 50 of Quentin Warman next to the 6 Karma 39 of Daniel Falkenham. And through row number 9, the Tony Kanaan number 66 of Mr. Alexander Russell next to one of the best cars all year with some work to do. The William Byron Esports 97 of Tucker Mincher finds himself way back in P18.
He was out, he was in, but he will be here today. Blake McCandless going then from number 19. And Colin Keister then rounds out the field for Jim Beaver in 20th position, knowing that it will be a lot of work to do to try and not start from 40th in the main.
As you look at the bottom at your Coca-Cola starting grid for race number 2, as now we get set to hand out points to the top 10 finishers again and set your feature race qualifying order for the outside of our 20 main rows. Of course, we saw chaos off of the jump in heat race number 1. No caution flags or automatic caution flags in these heat races. So survival is a legitimate strategy because you want to be in it to score the points. Ryan Luce has got the front row seat. We go back to James Pike.
Pole sitter for heat number 2 is Ryan Luza representing FGR SL eRacing. Ryan, how prepared do you feel for this? How much has changed with this new build, and what sort of prep work have you done this week to get ready?
I don't think a lot has changed, but we've spent a lot of time finding speed, and clearly it's worked. I think dead zone is like 2 through 7 for Q, so it's paid off. Hopefully the race pace pays off and we can stay up front here. I'm really worried about trying to clear Vicente up top because the middle seems to be the dominant groove, so see if we can clear them. If not, it's probably going to be hard to get up, but we're going to do what we can.
But the idea of mirroring Nashville Super Speedway, started on pole there, finished runner-up. Would love a good run to that tonight. Would Ryan Luza?
You heard the reference there to Dead Zone Racing, one of the technical alliances behind the scenes. They have drivers at all three manufacturers, including the likes of Team Dillard Esports, the Pioneers, Apex Racing, Vegas Inferno, Jim Beaver Esports, on. And they feel like they have figured out this new build in the last 7 days. Jake, one more peek at our Coca-Cola race program. We head to race number 2 in the heats. Same format as earlier. Instead, we'll set the grid for the outside of our main.
Yes, and if you're Ryan Loser, for example, you'd look at what happened there in the opening heat's worth of action from Michael Coty Jr. and go, can I borrow your homework and change absolutely none of it? It's pretty much that sort of scenario that sits in, but you're now going to start looking at who's going to be aggressive. You start thinking about, can Vicente Salas get a good run? Taylor Hurst is going to want to try and avoid what happened to the likes of Nate Stewart on this start, but I think the biggest key is going to be here, who's going to deal with the aero, because we saw right at the back, a lot of drivers really struggle and have to go right up off of the nice repave to go and actually get any form of turn.
Yeah, let's see how this second attempt at a restart will take place as they head onto the old asphalt and get set. 30 laps on the board. It is heat race number 2. Green flag in the air. More stacking up, but all the cars get to third gear. Down to turn number 1. Side by side. First 3 rows. 3 and 4 wide in the back, but they are nose to nose in the battle for the race lead.
Oh, this is incredible stuff for Vicente Salas, trying to hold into position. A bit of 3 wide now brings itself into play with Logan Clampett. Malik Ray's going to be in there. Now they can form into their line. Vicente Salas with control as we watch then at the first bit of 2 wide that brings itself into play. Taylor Hurst and Blaze Crawford now starting to bring into this action. And now it's about where can you find a chance to settle, get the groove, and start working on this one. A little bit of a loose moment there back in the pack from one of the Mustangs there. I think it was Michael Guest.
A couple of cars got a little bit out of shape. It looked like Eddie Kerner also got out of shape. And then a 19 Ford, as you get a good look on the board with Jordi Lopez and Malik Ray. And that's a lot of wheel for the straightaways as they just try to keep them straight, go through the bumps, and try to get them down to that smooth new asphalt on the bottom 2 lanes of this virtual Iowa Speedway. Lopez and Ray in a battle for 7th and 8th position as they run right now, but not nose to nose. Instead, it's the number 1 of Malik Ray dealing with the 42 car further towards the front. Your top 3 have single filed things out. It's now Salas, the leader, who used the outside of row number 1 to take the P1 away from pole sitter Ryan Luza. So Luza's in 2nd, Dylan Duval sits 3rd, and now 4th belongs to Taylor Hurst.
Yep, so Hurst did very well as Crawford and Hill now start to go at it here and really are trying to work to get what they can from it. Chris Hill looking a little loose, and now with a little bit of a wiggle as well. Eddie Kerner now finds himself freight train in the middle. Contact as they go through 4, and they bring themselves together. A little bit of a lean down to the middle as it's 3 wide, 2 deep, as they run back into 1 again. And this is where in the middle you're going to want to try and give yourself just about enough room. Find a way to fall back into line. This is a tough moment for Eddie Kerner here, who's being swamped.
Yeah, it was a huge moment for Michael Guest when he got out of shape, and give credit to the field for letting him get through. Now into the outside wall again. It goes Eddie Kerner, at least the 2nd time that driver's gotten out of shape on the exit at turn number 4. He's got his teammate in the mix as well. That's Daniel Falkenham, the 2nd of those 6 Karma cars in line. Very easy to spot those Ford Mustangs on the outside lane, right in the middle of that 6 Karma sandwich. Number 15, the machine of Colin Keister, a race winner from earlier this season in Las Vegas, but has struggled for consistency since then. He's had 3 finishes outside of the top 30 since he found victory lane. He needs consistent finishes over these next 5 races because you must be top 20 in driver points for a race win to count towards playoff eligibility. Right now, it's a little bit close for comfort out of the Keister camp. He's going to want more out of this heat race to get himself a comfier starting spot for the feature a little bit later on. A battle for P5 up top, battle behind them on the bottom. Trouble! It's Warman who gets out of shape. He will slide. The car never goes all the way around, but it's going to scrub all the speed out of that thing. He'll drop to the bottom in P20.
And that was Tucker Minter who was looking around at that. Very, very clever as he understeered out to keep the contact through the entire profile of the door, making sure that the car never broke the plane, and as such keeping that car pointed in the right direction to avoid a caution being brought out at the rear of the field. Lap 10 of 30, and you are getting to see drivers who are comfortable and drivers who are not. And once more, the front of the field is looking a little bit sparse. Salas from loser, 0.6 of a second, and Dylan Duval in third position is really going to have to work hard here to keep the next slew behind as we take a look on the bottom.
You'll see that second look. Minter just gets a little bit tight coming off of the corner. Warman's right there, leans on him again. It's a great save for the 50 car. If he had yellows, it'd be even better because you'd have a car that's in one piece. There's not a lot of runoff on the apron here at Iowa. So you get sideways like that, it's easy to find yourself in the fence. So good piece of driving to hang on to it. Again, the problem for him with this format is there are no cautions in these heats. So you look at your leaderboard on the left-hand side, look way to the bottom. He's nearly twice as far off of the leader as Blake McCallan's at a P19, almost ensuring that unless somebody else has some trouble over these next 17 laps, he will be starting way back in the number 40 spot when we go racing for the feature in just a little bit. Things up front much more calm than they are back in traffic. Again, a couple passes off of the green flag. Salas got around loose as Logan Clampett way up the hill. He had some help into turn number 3. It looked like that was Malik Ray near him. The 42 still going, but that cost him at least 4 positions.
Malik Ray just didn't want to turn in, and as such, Logan Clampett across the front nose, sliding to lose 3 positions. We'll take another look at it here from this perspective on the bottom, just pushing. A little lazy to get into the corner there was Malik Ray. I think was tired of staring at the back there of Logan Clampett and says, you know what? The chrome horn works pretty much 365 days a week and twice on Sundays.
Maybe accidentally on purpose. A little bit of a touch there. Moves Clampett out of the way. Clampett now out of the points-paying positions as he finds himself in the number 12 spot. Again, if you're just joining us, not only do these heat races line up the grid for the feature later on, but there are bonus points paid out to your top 10 finishers. 10 points for a heat race win brings tonight's max points number from 40 on any given week to 50 for this race. It is a hugely consequential night, 5th last race of the regular season, 1st race of segment number 3. It's a new build, new track scan. There's a whole lot going on, and Christopher Money Hill has been weathering the storm good so far. He's a top 5 machine after he was able to get around Blaze Crawford in the opening laps of this race. The Apex Racing Team Chevrolet wants some more. He is hunting down that Dude Wipes 33 of Taylor Hurst. Back in 14th position, we were just talking about Malik Ray and others. Well, plenty of battling going on here in the midfield. Way more chaotic than what you saw up front.
Yeah, the Tony Kanaan car there of Alexander Russell starting to bring in the battle. 66 versus 19. Eddie Kerner on the outside trying to make it work. And once more, you've got a bit off the exit too, which starts to get once more interesting. Malik Ray in the 1, down low, gets the pass done through 3. So for Blaze Crawford, who had a very good qualifying, now starting to find that the tyres aren't playing as much ball as maybe is liked, and so starting to fall back into that pack. And a little search down low now from Dylan Alt, who is looking around in the 47, trying to challenge Parker White, who this season has probably been the biggest bridesmaid and yet to be the bride in terms of finding a victory this season, the reigning champ.
He's had a lot of really close looks. How's this for some of his best finishes? 2nd, 3rd, 5th, 3rd, 2nd, 4th. I mean, it's really good for points. He's a top 4 car into points, but he'd love to just get that check mark next to his name, put the checkered flag sticker on the car, know that you're locked in. Can Parker White find that extra step? And when we look back to Countdown to Green, these are not the overall picks because everybody took the wild pick of Stephen Wilson. They really wanted to roll the dice. So we had to go back to our secondary round of picks. You see where our Countdown to Green analysts picked for these heats that are Benani. 5 was the pick for Camille. We're talking about Parker right now. He's in that number 11 spot. 48 Graham Bolin. That was Allen's pick with some work to do. He's down in the number 17 position in the 2 of Zach Novak. Not on track right now, but maybe the best pick of them all for Ryan. He got a 3rd place finish with Novak in heat race number 1. As that second 6 Karma car is again in the wall off of turn 4. You saw it the right-hand side of your screen, scrubbing some speed off.
Yeah, you certainly do. It's a case here on Countdown to Green that everyone looked at Stephen Wilson and went daring today, aren't we? So they had to really think about what they wanted in terms of that secondary pick. But we are seeing a couple little clips of the wall because now drivers are going to want to try and use it as a resource to give them an extra mile an hour or two on the straights. Use it as a defensive pack right now. And Dylan Duval very comfortable at the moment, trying to think about what to do, trying to build that gap. 6/10 now over Taylor Hurst, and is starting to see that Hurst is falling backwards into the clutches of Christopher Hill and Jordi Lopez. So those two drivers looking to bring themselves into play. But if you can give yourself a buffer margin of about 2-3 tenths of a second, I think you can start to relax a little bit around a track like Iowa, especially with 7 laps to go. But you cannot be lulled into a false sense of security. That's when the big hit into the wall starts to bring itself into play.
And this is a good night for Dylan Duval, trying to bounce back after a 33rd place finish in Kansas. I know he's got a whole feature race to get through, so that is far from a given. But Dylan Duval in a very good spot, trying to build on a number 14 spot in points after a poor outing 2 weeks ago. Check it in on that number 48 car. We were just talking about him in those Countdown to Green picks. Graham Bolin down 3 spots from the start of this race. Tucker Minter up 2. That is progress for the Logitech G Chevrolet, but admittedly, P16 would equate to, 32nd on the grid for the feature? That's not Tucker Minter 2025 numbers. It is a new build. There are new challenges. I am not hitting the panic button by any stretch, but Tucker Minter, I think, is expecting more out of what he is getting right now.
It's a tough position after qualifying, and then also had the contact, which meant that had to get out of the throttle a bit to try and work hard through. And now Graham Boland's trying to have a look on him. So it is very difficult right now for Tucker Minter as they all stack behind Blaze Crawford, who is the cork in the proverbial bottle right now with 4 laps to go. This is going to be a case of, well, if they all decide they want to be aggressive, I can pick some more up. I think that's going to have to be the mentality you hold on to. But right now it's Dylan Alt who's trying to find himself a chance to move on by in this group, to move on up to 8th place. But everyone behind will be realizing, you know what, I'd quite like a way past Michael Guest, because that would be for an extra point.
And the inside wasn't working, so Dylan Alt to the outside takes that Real American Beer Chevrolet, the red, white, and blue colors on that 47, up to the outside of Blaze Crawford. That battle continues for 8 spots, several other spots up for grab in this pack, as there are now 2 laps to go in heat race number 2. To your point earlier, every position ends this race, not only for the top 10, a point of difference for the bonus points available, but a 2-spot difference for where they qualify for tonight's feature. But up front, Barney's got the white flag in the air. One more time around for Mr. Vicente Salas. Has finished top 5 in his last 2 races, and he's going to have another crack at a good result here tonight. He will be perfect. Leads 30 for 30, just like we saw Cozy do earlier. And Salas, to the tune of 9/10, will cruise to victory lane. Race winner in heat race number 2.
A marvelous display, especially getting around Ryan Loser on the opening lap, really having to fight about for it. But critically, in terms of where you stack up in this second heat, it was more of the same. The front looks dominant and everyone's really having to work. You can make a bit of progress through, but you're looking around a full second. That's a big smile for the 11.
Yeah, not a lot of big movers. Maybe 4 spots gained for Dylan Alt. Further back in the pack, Colin Keister picked up more, but not a lot of movement for Vicente Salas. That means he'll be on the outside of the front row for the feature race with this heat race number 2 win. Ryan Luce second, Dylan Duval in third. Again, all these drivers going to lock in some points, and it's double top 10s for Team Dylan Esports with Taylor Hurst in 4th, Blaze Crawford 9th. Also, a good showing for the Vegas Inferno. They've got Malik Ray in 7th and Michael Guest in 10th.
Yeah, and looking down, Parker White there in the Chevrolet, 11th position. It will end up being there, a gain of 2. Colin Keister, your biggest mover in the field, a gain of 8 to move on up to 12th. But you're looking around at the likes of those who maybe didn't get much of what was wanted. Logan Clampett, -5 and -9 for Eddie Kerner. Just went nowhere but backwards there in the 6 Karma machine. So that looked like there was going to be a little bit of trouble as things go. But I believe that I've been able to wrangle up Vicente Salas. So I'll get an opportunity then to say that for Kanan Esports, it was a pretty dominant display of fantastic driving right up from the front. But talk the very beginning there with Ryan Loser, because that was a big amount of work that had to be done on that opening lap to get the clearance. Well, Vicente, hopefully we got you this time, buddy. I think he's in the zone here at the moment, so that's going to be very tough for us to get a little bit of a chat with him, because these drivers are looking to get that warm-up sorted here, Evan, and it just goes to show you it's a case of lock and load.
Yeah, that's a man who is locked in, coming straight out of the race win in heat race number 2. And now drivers enjoying a 5-minute warm-up session. He is not wasting any second of that available track time. One reminder for NASCAR Fan Awards members, Iowa 22W is tonight's exclusive members code. You put that in your NASCAR Fan Rewards dashboard. Secure your 50 points for the day. Again, NASCAR.com/fan rewards, or scan the QR code if you have yet to get that set up this season. Well, let's take a look at what has happened so far here tonight in Iowa. It all started with a chaotic open to Heat Race 1.
And that's because you're going to see a lot of drivers start stacking up on each other on the restarts. Everyone wants to get the jump because they know how critical it is to make the moves in the opening 2 laps. Outside of that, it gets a little bit tougher at the front to make it happen. So everyone's looking for that launch. But then it started to form, especially in the mid to rear of the groups. A lot of 2-wide action as you went further back. Nobody really able to get much clearance out there, but it was a case of lights to flag when it came to the front of Heat 1 for Michael Cozy Jr., as it was, I would say, a little bit more civil in race 2 in some respects, but Heat 2 certainly proved to be tougher in others.
Yeah, I think a key for this feature race, and we saw it on both starts, was how tricky the old asphalt's going to be getting power down. You saw the trouble out of turn number 2. That's what put the 50 car on the back foot. It's going to be a poor starting effort in the end for Quinton Warman, who's going to be all the way at the back, and cars kept getting into the outside wall on the exit of 2, on the exit of 4. They were pushing up, getting a little bit loose. It'll be interesting to see how that plays when we triple the length. But the one thing that stayed the same is when you get out front, that seemed to pay dividends tonight, because both Michael Cozy Jr. and Vicente Salas take home the race wins. They led every single lap, Jake, en route to those victories.
Yeah, they certainly did, and it was confidence in that display. Hopefully we got a chance to get Vicente Salas again. Vicente, have you got a copy, buddy?
Oh, yeah.
Well, for you, a case of trying to get that clearance, that all-important clearance on the opening lap that set up the way that Heat 2 went for you. How critical was it on the outside with everyone pushing so aggressively on that start for you to get that launch on the outside?
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely important. I feel like me and Ryan kind of lit up our tires there, and the guys behind us did a good job of giving us a break. I don't know if they spun their tires as well, but yeah, I mean, it was huge. I'm glad that he kind of cut me a break and didn't run me too hard, and we kind of just raced well and got in line. So yeah, I mean, just grateful for, you know, all my Dead Zone Racing guys, Kanan Esports, Tony Kanan, Miramar Financial, and you know, ready to go get one here in the main event.
Well, you'll have to do the same again in race number 2, or in the main race, so to speak. Thank you very much for joining us. Vicente Salas there with it all to do again. It's a case of 2, trying to do 1 and 2 again.
And Michael Cozy Jr., Vicente Salas going to be on the front row. Stick with us. The feature race is next from Iowa.
Every time you sit behind the wheel, you buckle up for the unexpected. You get ready to take on the competition and brace yourself for the chaos, the speed, the weather, the unknown. But above all, when strapping in, you put trust in yourself, your intuition. Make it your guide to win, your drive to win.
He's a winner in this.
And nothing is going to stop you from winning.
Welcome to more new ways to watch. A 5-race stretch only on Prime. More bright lights, more Nashville nights, more Motor City speed, more passion unleashed, more history made, more precision displayed, more moments you can't miss. And for the first time, only on Prime. Welcome to NASCAR.
This portion of the broadcast is brought to you by Coca-Cola, the official fan refreshment of eNASCAR. Logitech G. Through design, engineering, and a love of driving games, Logitech G takes racing simulation to another level. Logitech G, the official wheel and pedals of the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing series. And by Sunoco. From fueling your favorite NASCAR teams to filling up at the pump, Sunoco is trusted to help vehicles perform at their peak. Sunoco. Performance is what we do.
And back live at iRacing's virtual Iowa Speedway as we are ready for feature racing in the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series. We look at our Coca-Cola race program. Both heat races have come and gone. Bonus points have been paid out. And Jake, it is now time. 40 cars, 90 laps, and full race points. A ticket to the playoffs, as always, hangs in the balance.
Listen, we've had the entrees, the starters. Now it's time for the main course, and the main course of two drivers who won from these prospective positions, 1 and 2, Michael Cozy Jr. and Vicente Salas on that front row, with Casey Kerwin and Ryan Loser on row 2, looking to rock the apple cart of front row dominance. In 5th, it's Zach Novak for 199, and it will be 2 199 teammates there as Dylan Duval is there in 6th.
And then you'll find your first race winner in the starting grid. Steven Wilson will find himself at the inside of row 4 in the Spire Motorsports 77. He's next to the Team Dillon Esports 33 of Taylor Hurst. Number 5 will see the Kevin Harvick Incorporated 29 of Jimmy Mullis, next to the Apex Racing Team number 96 of Christopher Hill. And through your top 6, it's the fireman, Seth the Merchant, in the FGRXL E-Racing 14. He's next to the BS Competition 89. That's Jordy Lopez, P12.
Bobby Zelensky was looking at 39th if qualifying was concerned. It's 13th. It's lucky for some for car 22. Malik Ray alongside for company on row 7. Matt Booser in the 62 is going from 15th with Dylan Alt 16th. Garrett Lowe will have Blaze Crawford, the rookie, for company there for Team Dillon in what is 18th.
And we'll keep the rookie train on going. It's the Latardi Sports 40 of Connor Urashak. Inside row number 10, he's next to Michael Guest, P20. That brings us halfway home. Colin Bowden in the RFK Racing number 6, going to be next to the Atlassian Williams Sim Racing 95 of Parker White on row 11. And on row 12, it is the William Byron Esports 25 of Nick Ottinger and the Jim Beaver Esports 15 of Colin Keister.
That leads to Kwame Scott then in 25th position. Logan Clampett will be ruining the fact that contact dropped him about 10 places here and down into 26th position. Nate Stewart and Daniel Falkingham are on row 14. Tyler Gary is there for E-Racer in 29th, and the Canaan Esports 66 of Alexander Russell goes 30th.
Row number 16, you'll see the Junior Motorsports 88 of Briar LaPrade next to the William Byron Esports 97 of Tucker Minter. Minter has finished top 11 in 8 of the 9 races so far this year. He's got some work to do way back in row 16. Cody Bias, the Apex Racing 98 next to the Pioneers 48 of Grand Bolin. They make up row 17. It's Spire Motorsports at FMEL Alton Boson inside of row 18 next to the Junior Motorsports 8. That's Blake McCandless.
And that leaves the final 4 with Timmy Holmes in 37th, Eddie Kerner in 38th. Donovan Strauss, who had to go to the pits and decided to call the heat off early, has Quentin Warman then for company in the number 50 in 40th.
It's a look top to bottom at tonight's Coca-Cola starting grid as the field rolls off from pit road. We've already handed out points to your top 10 finishers in the heats. We revisit the Logitech G race format tonight for the feature. 90 laps on board around the 7/8 mile speedway. It'll bring us into about 76 miles of race distance. There are 2 sets of tires available, Jake. That highlights that pit window at the bottom because fuel-wise, you could go this entire race distance, but you heard it first when you talk with Michael Cozy Jr. What he's worried about is the unknown. That pit window, the tire, the fuel strategy, that's all going to be dictated based on what happens or what doesn't happen with the yellow flag.
Yeah, and with only 2 tyre sets available, you can't go continually running into the pits. I'll take 4, I'll take 4, I'll take 4. You have to manage and use those tyre sets over the course of a run. So if you do see caution after caution late, it's not going to just be a case of, do I need to go to a set of 4? It's when do I go to a set of 4? When is the right time to strike and make those charges through the field? That's going to be worth keeping in mind. But as far as it goes, I think that these restarts are going to be the really important factor that makes the racing here tonight at Iowa.
Of your top 12 starters, only one of them is a race winner this year. That's Steven Wilson, who starts P7. Does this new build equalize things a little bit? Do we get a first-time winner this season? Buckle up. We're about to find out. Put 90 laps on the scoring pylon. Pace car down and in. Field in the hands of the number 34 Chevrolet of Michael Cozy Jr. Let's go racing in Iowa. Some 3 wide, center of the pack, but up front, Cozy breaks through for the lead. Salas clears the 24's challenge for second. It's Kerwin, Luza side by side for third, and plenty going on in the middle of the field.
I like what Casey Kerwin tried there on the opening lap there into turn 1. Very much a case of trying to throw the car down the inside, get as much as possible early, but it has backfired because Kerwin's now back into 4th position. And as we take a look here, chasing about from about 30th position here at the moment in the field, this is what you get. 2 distinct different lines. That high line certainly working a lot better than the low, and you're going to be seeing that more and more as this race goes on. Everybody pinching down to effectively what we call lane 2.
Yeah, that iRacing drone gave you a great perspective right above the cars as they ripped around this racetrack. You can see up front things are going to start to spread out a little bit quicker than they will back in the midfield. This is the battle for the number 6 spot on back. Zach Novak has what everybody else wants. Now, some of the comments from the drivers over the off week with all of the changes is that some of them say this is the biggest change to this car since it was introduced back in 2022. So big changes to the tires, to the aerodynamics of these cars means that there has been a lot of R&D going on over the course of the last 7 days. It's on board with Taylor Hurst.
Yeah, the meta completely changes, and so when everybody's trying to find what works again and everything that you've done over the point of this season, now here as we hit the 3rd block, you just got to chuck it out the window. It means that this is a form book change. This means that someone might get hot looking to try and get themselves a late run into the dance of the playoffs, and someone like Taylor Hurst, for example, from Winston-Salem, North Carolina, who's going to look around and say, I want to get in and score some points, and I want to score big points, and I want to get a win that says, you know what, I've got a very comfy seat at the table and everyone else can fight for the scraps to get in.
And there's a look at Jimmy Mullis further up the running order. The driver of the 29 machine up 3 spots early. Wants a little bit more. He's on the inside of his former teammate in Zach Novak. That battle for the number 6 and 7 spots. Mullis has had the nose in front the last couple of times around. He'll do it again this time, but he cannot get all the way clear. Pinched on the bottom in that battle up inside of the top 10. Back here in the midfield, 17th position on back. Looks like the pace lap at about 160 miles an hour. 2x2, several rows deep. That's the 21 of Michael Guest on the inside. He's creeped up a few spots. Really, most of the cars in this frame have been going the right direction. What's Colin Bowden got on? That looks like Stanley Cup Finals action going on in the background. Game 6 tonight, that's where I'm going post-race. If these drivers can keep it green with some game time left, Bowden is in the thick of it, right smack dab in the middle of the field as that 15 car Keister showers him with some sparks.
Yep, and with all of those sparks on the outside, you worry that there's going to be a check-up with the contact off of the exit. You're always looking to try and not scrub any speed when you get off of the exit of 4, and the moment that you do on the 10 degrees of banking that goes along that front section, effectively you use it as an elongated run out of 4 to go and say, right, I'll go and get more when it comes over towards 1. You don't get as much of an effect when you go onto the back stretch here because it's only the 4 degrees of banking, but you just get yourself a chance to follow, and this is playoff season in pretty much everything you've got. And look at the line now for Malik Ray, only 2 to the good.
And 2 to the good, and that line drops down a spot where players and these drivers get to go below that because Cozy jumps up. Cozy comes into tonight 10th in the standings. That would be borderline. He'd be down by the 1 in the 99, but if he wins this race where the live points show him, that Rin would lock him in. He would jump way up to the top again. That is the opportunity for the few amount of race winners we've had. Only 4 different cars have been in victory lane in the 9 races we've had so far this season. Normally this time of year, Jake, we're talking about 2 spots, 3 spots in on points. That could still happen if we get a string of first-time winners in this segment. But right now, plenty of opportunity.
Yes, and so I think this is a massive, massive moment for drivers in the field. And if you're 5th, or I would say 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th in the championship, I actually think you look over your shoulder and go, you know, even if I want to go and win and give myself some safety, if not, you set speed dial to Stephen Wilson and Tucker Minter and go, yeah, can you get another one for us just so you can confirm our space? It's that sort of style where you go, that's the worst place you want to be. I'd actually quite like to be a driver in and around about 15th in the championship right now, because you sit down in the scenario and go, right, let's kick our feet up, because all I know is win and in, and I've got nothing to lose.
It does make the math certainly a lot easier. Do you want the points? Absolutely, but you control your own destiny at the end of the day. You do not have to worry about who wins, who doesn't win. Are they repeat winners? Are they new winners? As long as you take care of business and put your car in victory lane. And so far this season, Stephen Wilson's done a lot. Tucker Minter's done a lot, and we've also seen Keister and Zelensky go to victory lane. Those are the only drivers who are safe, again, as long as they maintain a top 20 spot in the point standings. Up front, it is cruise control for Michael Cozy Jr. He continues to lead every lap thus far. 1 second ahead of Vicente Salas third, Ryan Luza in the number 4 position. You jump back to, we'll call it about 15th spot or so. Plenty of side-by-side going on. So as we are closer and closer to the playoffs, I want to remind you, as always, to go to eNASCAR.com. Keep up to date with the standings, the schedule, and even as we look forward to 2026, information on how you can be a part of the eNASCAR community, because these Tuesday nights going to start to get real fun as we're now past the halfway point in the season, and all these races mean more and more with every passing go. Look at that 3 car, a little bit tight on corner exit. Crawford really squeezing the 95 of Parker White.
Well, they're really having to work hard on the tyres here, because over the course of where they started on the run to where they are now, they've dropped about 1.5 seconds worth of pace over a lap. So that gives you a real indication of how much they're having to dig deep here with the tyres. And already here on lap 18, the drop-off that's available, I think this is now going to be a race where if it stays green here, Evan, this is a great day for the undercut to come into play, because you could gain by being 1 lap ahead of everyone everybody else a case of maybe 2.5 seconds a lap, maybe, if it continues to drop like this, and you will be smiling from ear to ear, knowing that you're going to have a massive advantage to jump 5, 6, 7, maybe even 8 places if you're lucky by 1 lap's advantage.
It's absolutely true as you jump up to Christopher Hill, and I think drivers are anticipating that decision to come, to pit for tires, not because of fuel requirements, but to pit because of the tire wear. During that 5-minute warm-up session after heat number 2, I was watching several drivers practice green flag pit entry. You would not see drivers doing that this close to the start of the race if they did not intend on having green flag pit stops at some point in this race. Of course, all of that dependent on if this race can stay green. Christopher Hill, you see the rookie points on the right-hand side of your screen. He is 3rd in the rookie standings, trailing that man right there, the number 3, Blaze Crawford, your best rookie so far this season. He's the 3rd highest in the field tonight, but it has been a great campaign thus far for Blaze Crawford.
Look, 17th in the championship, 2 top 10 finishes early over at Las Vegas and at Richmond, has been consistently peppering himself in and around the top 20 for every other result this season. I'd say job well done for what you'd want out of a rookie. Pay your dues, learn how it is to go and find that speed. And Blaze Crawford in 20th, I would say, is playing par for the course right now. Very much a JJ Spawn style of drive he's doing right now. It's just a shame that everyone's playing as if it's their municipal course and not Oakmont.
Well, let's get the onboard perspective from Blaze Crawford. This is your Coca-Cola camera. A lot of patience with Blaze Crawford there, and we check in now with Garrett Lowe. We've talked a lot in the last couple of years of Sim to reality. It has no longer uncommon to see drivers competing in this series in the real-world ranks as well, and we've talked a lot about Garrett Lowe so far this season. Jake contesting the Euro NASCAR series this year. That BS competition group that he drives for on the sim, that's the same livery on that car that he drives as his race machine in Euro NASCAR. So looks like Garrett Lowe is home. Pretty rare for him. He's had to contest some of these things from overseas and whatnot, and right now he's P25, but what a busy calendar it is for that young man right there.
But it'll be one that he will definitely revel in, and he knows how strong the caliber of drivers he's racing against. If I tell you that you've got one of the touring car legends out there in that series, like Yvonne Muller, for example, to go out there toe-to-toe that level, there's a lot of faith that's put in Garrett Lowe by the likes of Florian Hasper and the team out there at Budosud. So when you sit down and say, what more do you want to offer right now? Garrett Lowe is living the dream and looking to make that a reality. The fact that he can double dip in and battle here in eNASCAR just goes to show that you know where his heart is. It's always going to be with the sim.
Yeah, he is enjoying it, but glad to see that he is finding success in the real world as well. Checking in on the battle, closer to the front of the field. Most of the action has been in the midfield. Tail end of the top 5, though, under fire right now. Casey Kerwin's got that number 5 spot. Matt Busa, the instigator, one of your biggest movers in the field. Busa's +9 is the most positions gained out of anybody inside of the top 27. So that treetop machine has been on the move for Kevin Harvick Incorporated. Can't get the spot that time. He'll pull up in line. He's got to balance this. He commits to the bottom, can't make the move on Kerwin. Dylan Duvall, the track racer, Toyota right behind him, very keen to say, all right, I'll jump in on the action, try to take that spot from you. So Busa trying to balance offense and defense right now, but it's been a good opening third for that 62.
And I tell you what, I do love Kevin Harvick Incorporated as a team. Kevin Harvick, once upon a time, back in the old NR 2003 days, was racing up against the likes of Dale Earnhardt Jr. before jumping into NASCAR full-time as a run. So you get a lot of drivers who jump up there in the real world, Dale Jr., William Byron, who look around and say, well, this is where we learn our trade. This is where we decide to get a little bit of a step up on the competition. And so as such, when you sit down and look at these drivers, they're following in those same footsteps. They're wanting to try and get to the highest level, and Matt Boozer having to really fight a car there coming up from turn number 2. And again, looking to get the drive-through 3 out of 4, isn't able to put the power down early enough in comparison to Casey Kerwin, and really trying to fight hard for that 5th place. Worth noting as well, in front of that, Jimmy Mullis, about 5 or 6 laps ago, breezed by Vicente Salas, who's dropping back. Jimmy Mullis is really charging forward at 1.4 off of Michael Cozy Jr., is proving that on the long run is the only nearest challenger.
And we'll see if that gap's going to be able to work itself down now that he's got some clean air to work with. Busa enjoying this right now. He's finished outside of the top 30 in his last 3 consecutive starts. So this is a well-needed turnaround if it can continue for that number 62 Chevrolet team. These drivers are not new to these mid-season updates, Jake. For those who aren't familiar, this happens 4 times a year, right? The iRacing calendar is split up into quarters, so there are routinely updates to the sim. It's sometimes some track updates, sometimes it's some aero updates, but this build in particular, new tire model, new aero model, seems to be a lot all at once, and that was the thing that drivers were expressing on social media. They feel like these most recent updates to these cars on iRacing brings them that much closer to their real-world counterparts. Drivers have said that they feel like the draft is a lot less. Of course, the short track here at Iowa didn't have a ton of it to begin with, but they feel like the dirty air effects are that much worse. And, well, we've seen track position to be critical so far tonight. That was something else drivers were stressing pre-race, as they felt like qualifying for this race may have been the most critical so far this year.
It certainly looks that way with the way that Michael Cozy Jr. has been going, but we call it week 13 in iRacing when you get yourself to a build week and everybody is searching around trying to understand, well, what's the new cars doing? What's the understanding of the old cars that we've been running? Are there any changes that we have to go and adapt to? And I think that when it comes to these drivers, they'd rather have a lot and a new challenge than have a little thing here and a little thing there and being drip-fed that. So I actually love the decision to put all of this updates come in over and over and over. And when you're getting scraps like this in the field where people are having to work like Stephen Wilson, your championship leader effectively, you know, you're looking around at Zach Novak and co, and you're saying, right, it's time to gear on up, because someone might come in, say in the real world, have a tiny little update and say, well, we can go a tiny bit quicker because of that. It's a massive shuffling up of the playbook, and everyone's got to try and find out where the points lie.
And there's more change for Stephen Wilson than just the build. I mean, that's a big enough challenge as is. This is his hometown race. He's the defending race winner. He feels comfortable here at the Iowa Speedway, but he's got to change the scenery at home as well. We always talk about drivers and their comfort level with their rig. Sometimes they have to borrow a friend's rig if traveling, but Stephen Wilson is in a brand new house. In accordance with that move, also a brand new sim rig. That takes some adjusting as well. It's like taking the seat out of the race car, giving the driver something totally different, moving the pedals, changing the setup. I mean, totally new rig, mid-season, mid-build change. A lot going on for the driver of the 77 machine. And Stephen Wilson right now, not race-winning pace, but currently on par for what would be a 10th, or I should say a 5th straight top 10 finish. So consistency has been the name of the game for the 77 machine thus far. And there you go, you can see the hat, the Iowa Hawkeye. He's won an eNASCAR College iRacing Series title, supporting the Hawkeyes. This is his hometown race. This one means a lot to him.
Yeah, and so he'll feel that 9th position right now for Stephen Wilson, a drop of 2 over the course of this race, is not exactly what he's been planning for. Yes, still in the hunt at the moment, and here is a driver who, when it comes to everything eNASCAR, has probably graced everything and had the gift of the Midas touch, because everything he's touched has turned to gold with what he's trying to do. But we are soon going to be hitting that pit stop window, lap 42 of 90. I reckon about lap 50 to 55 is the absolute absolute limit that we'll be seeing drivers going. But right now, it's a case of can you position, and the closer that we're getting to that pit window, drivers are going to want to start thinking about dropping down. And look at those team points on the right-hand side. Spire will actually lose that out because 199 are having a fantastic day.
You see P7 and P8 right there on the racetrack as those two teams going head-to-head, some of the top cars. I know that team points is not going to get as much glitz and glam, right, as the driver championship. That's still a big deal. The driver standings is the lion's share of the money as we got pit stops open, but there's 15 grand going to the team champs. That's critical. So with two cars down pit road, it's Clampett and Stewart. Will the floodgates open as we take the cross flags the next time by and get halfway through here in Iowa? Still nothing from your leader, Cozy, but more cars pitting. That's Dylan Alt down pit road that time.
Yeah, and so now you're starting to get a smattering of cars in. You'll get a couple who will decide they're on the fringes and they will dictate the strategy, and then more people will go and jump to it because they don't want to be the one that loses out on that strategy. Vicente Salas is the first real taker of the front runners to jump into the pits, and I'm not surprised to see that out there, Evan, due to the fact that Salas was really dropping late on in the stint. He is going to be followed down the lane by Quentin Warman.
So keep in mind, Salas pitted. He was 2.5 seconds behind Michael Cozy Jr. That interval, you mentioned it earlier, you get the fresh tires, you instantly start running faster laps than the cars on old tires. He is going to make that time up, no doubt. More cars down pit road this time with Hill, Keister, Minter, and others. The question becomes, what's the balance? Do you want to pit early, get the track position through the pit cycle, but then have older tires in the final moments of the race? Or do you want to stay out now? You are giving up time every lap you stay out there on the racetrack. The flip side is, when you get back out on track, you may have lost some track position, but then you'll have the better tires to the end of the race. And that is why these teams have huge conglomerates of crew chiefs and strategists and test drivers to go through these scenarios and try to come up with the best option as Michael Cozy Jr. is pitting from the lead. He's down pit road this time, and you can see Jimmy Mullis follows him in.
And the reason why for Michael Cozy Jr. is he just saw Quentin Warman just breeze by him through 1 and 2 and went, oh my goodness, he's gone away by about 10 car lengths through the corner. I've got to come in and get off of these tires. I've got to make my strategy known, because he took the short-term pain looking for the long-term gain, whereas the flip side of that, short-term gain, will there be long-term pain? That's the question you've got to ask, and those who pitted early now are probably praying for a caution to get themselves the track position.
Hey, you beat me right to it. I was going to say that's the only concern about pitting early, is that on a short racetrack like this, for most cars, if not all, you're going to put yourself a lap down because you're going to spend about 40 seconds on the pit lane. Here comes Kerwin. Aggressive entry, pit road speed at Iowa, a measly 40 miles an hour. If you drop down off of the lead lap by pitting sooner, you run the risk of being stuck there. When you have cars out there on old tires, new tires, closing rates are increased. This is one of the most treacherous points of this race. Higher likelihood of a yellow. If that happens when you're stuck a lap down, the strategy is destroyed. You're going to have to stay out, take a wave around, and all of that track position that you're hoping to gain is gone. You see the last pit stop lap on our leaderboard, so still waiting on what amounts to our top 17 cars, now top 16 cars, to come down pit road. Femi Bosun is in this time. Some drivers are going to want to stretch this out longer than others. Right now, your leader is Matt Busa, but your net leader, so the first car in the running order who has already pitted, is Mr. Vicente Salas. No shock there. He was the second car to come down pit road. He is reaping the benefits of getting on those fresher tires sooner.
And I look at those cars who haven't pitted, and I like to call this caution angling right at the moment. Imagine that you're casting a line, that you're fishing right now. If you manage to fish up a caution, there's cars behind that are stuck a lap down, and guess what? You come walking back home and say, you know what? The table's full and it's a feast. If you end up with nothing, you're probably going to end up with nothing anyway with the track position, so you haven't really lost much. It just means that you can be very, very aggressive late on in the race, as here goes side by side for the lead. Booster and Novak now starting to push around because Matt Busa decides I can't hold it out any longer.
And it's been a quiet, great season for Zach Novak. Your Segment 1 champion will stay out and assume the race lead. Of course, a good starting spot for this race started in P5. That builds upon a series best average start. It was an average start of 8th, best than anybody else this year. That he improves on that and hoping that he can roll that into some success. As we continue to watch this pit cycle, take a look at the bottom of your screen. A second look at the dive down in turns 3 and 4. The pit road entry, a little bit sideways, a lot of bit sideways. That was the 15 car. Colin Keister got the ship righted, but a big moment for that Misadventure Mustang.
Yeah, and it is a surprising drop there. It's 12 to 14 degrees in the turns here in terms of banking. If you just get it slightly wrong on tyres that are going to feel very old, you are going to have to work hard to get all of that speed scrubbed. And so that's where Keister had to go. The 95 then jumps down into the pits, and that'll be Parker White deciding can't hold out any longer. We have had cautionless rounds of the championship already this season. I wouldn't be too surprised to see if that happens again, if we survive the cycle quite nicely. But you now got different races and different scenarios. This is where you need your pit crew. This is where you need your spotter, because this is where you got to try and open up and say, what more can you do? Novak 1.2 to the good on Stephen Wilson. Car in the wall. Logan Clampett cautions out.
And there it is. Clampett's involved. Daniel Falkenham also. And there is what your top 11 cars were hoping for. They get the caution. Everybody from 25th position on back will be stuck a lap down. And you just saw Blaze Crawford, who just came down pit road that time. That may work out the best for him if he's able to maintain lead lap status, which I assume he will because the leaders are slow behind the pace car. So now, all of a sudden, a major decision has to happen. The top 11 cars have not pitted. They will for sure come down pit road. But for Michael Cozy Jr., Vicente Salas, and the other drivers who have already pitted, Jake, they've been out there for 10 to 15 laps. Is that enough time for them to also come back down pit road and give up the track position? Or do they stay out while all of these cars pit in exchange of the track position?
I think those drivers who are a lap down are left in a very awkward position where they've got to stay out and try and get the lap back. There is a lucky dog out there that is going to put themselves in a nice position. But I look around at those who hung out. Zach Novak, Stephen Wilson, Taylor Hurst is in there, Sefton Merchant, Malik Ray. That's all there. This is Casey Kerwin, who's got a lot of pace off of the exit. And he just gave himself no room. He painted himself into a corner. Logan Clampett is a bystander who's trying to hold himself out there. And you can understand the frustration there for Logan Clampett and Daniel Falkingham, who was going through all of that as well. It is a very tough situation when you've got a car that is just not going to turn, and someone who's got a car that does just jumps up on the scene a bit too fast.
Yeah, it's a big moment for Logan Clampett. Came into tonight 28th in the points. Again, you got to be top 20 to win your way in. This is going to hurt him with only 4 races to go in the season. There was a bit of a split decision on the pit cycle there. So all 11 cars who had yet to pit came down pit road. We knew that. They were on old tires. It was a split call for the cars on the lead lap who had already pitted, right? They all had anywhere from 10 to 16 laps on the tires. I'd say about 2/3 of them came down pit road. That's going to put them towards the rear. The likes of Urashak, Stewart, Hill, Keister, Lopez, and others, they come down pit road a second time. They now have equal tires, but they lose track position. That was a losing cycle for them. Well, your top 6 drivers did not come down pit road. So these cars have been fast, Jake. Cozy, Salas, Alt, Luza, Mullis, and Kerwin cycle back to the front where they have been for much of this race. But they will be restarting with, call it anywhere from 10 to 16 lap older tires than all the cars lined up P7 on back behind them. So what's better? They've had the better cars all night long, but now they have the worst of the tires. This final 30 laps just got really interesting.
they certainly did, and if it's interesting here, it will be interesting in just 7 days' time when we head over to Dover Motor Speedway. Now imagine this and the scenarios and the games that you play here. Just tilt the banking up by 2.5 times and you start realizing that it's going to get even more interesting when it goes over to there, and we will see Miles as well in full display. But I think it is interesting for the top 6. I reckon they need cautions. The more heat cycles that are going to go into the tyres, the better it's going to be for them, because it equalises the balance between having tyres and not having tyres. The driver I really want to keep an eye out on is Dylan Alt from 16th up to 3rd.
Michael Cozy Jr. started this race on pole. He has led more laps than anybody else tonight. Pole sitters so far this season, 0 for 9. Can the 34 car change that narrative? It's a restart with 28 laps to go. Green flag back in the air. 34 has the discretion to get the jump. He leads to turn number 1. Salas clear for 2nd. It is an absolute hornet's nest. 3rd place on back.
That was an Olympic-sized jump off of the restart there from Michael Cozy. Absolutely magnificent. The 12 up high. Ryan Loser finding troubles. And look at Stephen Wilson on the outside making progress. Already up to 5th and looking to try and run through almost 4. They go in towards turn 1. Novak on the bottom. In the middle of that was Jimmy Mullis, who's able to fall into line with Malik round the back. But now look at the pushes then with the likes of Casey Kerwin down low here through 3 and 4.
Kerwin's on the bottom. The 77 Wilson stuck in the middle. And he forced through the C's part off of turn 4. Wilson, 3 wide battle for what's going to be 3rd on back. Novak sees the opening. He'll follow through. But the 77 of Steven Wilson, the lead car on 4 fresh tires, all the way up to the number 2 position, and now sets his sights on Cozy, who's still in search of career race win number 1.
Well, you look at Michael Cozy Jr. and he will see the hometown boy behind him and look like he's seen a ghost. It's 0.4 of a second there and trying to chase. Zach Novak is also in the same position. And look in the middle with the 33 of Taylor Hurst. They're still trying to work out right place, right time. Look at what strategy does to a race here like Iowa. It looked all plain sailing to begin with. Now you've got the drivers with tyres trying to get by those without, and it becomes a much different beast.
And there's the onboard perspective. Right behind the number 12 machine in line, Jimmy Mullis, one of the drivers who's going to have to nurse older tires to the end of the race. And look at this battle for 2nd. Both Novak and Wilson on the fresh tires, faster than Cozy on the old ones. Caution will fly. It's trouble behind the leaders. Maybe saved by the bell is Cozy. In the middle of the racetrack is Eddie Kerner. Not a good night for the 6 Karma Fords.
No, it really wasn't there. It was a case of car up top, which was the 88 machine that was up there. That was Brian LaPrade finding himself then trying to go 4 wide, using the top lane to sneak on by, and everybody moved up, and he realized, I'm against the wall, I've got no room. It's cheeky to go up there, but you leave yourself vulnerable when you go topside, and ultimately, it's the 11 of Vicente Salas that gives the tap, that sends the reaction going.
It's the staggering that is always so dangerous. These cars can take a lot of contact. If you're door to door with somebody, maybe you get away with that. But when somebody else's nose is lined up on your quarter panel, it makes you so vulnerable. And it is a tough break there. That's going to bring Kerner to pit road for repairs. Well, I mentioned saved by the bell. Novak and Wilson were side by side for 2nd, fighting each other, and were chasing down Cozy at the same time. Pit road open this time by. No takers from up front. No surprise as we close it on 20 laps to go. But Michael Cozy Jr. has his hands full. I think it's also worth noting there are 2 different strategies happening amongst the cars who have new tires, and I think that's important. So you have Cozy up front on the old tires, right? He did not pit under the caution flag. He's only pitted once, and it was under green. So he's got 21 lap old tires. Zach Novak, Steven Wilson, they have, Jake, 2 fresh tires. Both of those drivers decided to come in, but they took right side tires only. The first car on 4 tires is Malik Ray. He will line up outside of row 2. So 4 cars, 3 different strategies amongst the front 2 rows.
Yeah, and we've got Stephen Wilson here in car right now. Stephen, new home, but it looks like this is your home right now at Iowa. The seas parted for you on that start, 4 tyres. It looks like you've got yourself a perfect position to go and attack this final third of the race. Well, hopefully we've got Stephen here. Stephen, you got a copy, bud? Doesn't look like it at the moment. That's a real shame. But ultimately, he's having a wonderful run. And at his home race, you know what they say, when you're at your home track, Evan, you get an extra 1/10 of a second in the back pocket of pace.
It adds for a little bit of horsepower. I promise, Jake, it's not hazing. I don't know why the drivers are not listening to you when we dial them up tonight. Stephen Wilson, of course, there's a lot on the line here for him. And what a season it has been, right? I mentioned a 4-time race winner this year. He's already done that now 4 different times in his career. Such an impressive stat. His most recent race win tied him with Keegan Leahy for 6th on the all-time series wins list. So it has been quite a campaign for Wilson. But again, an advantage over Cozy because he's got 2 fresh tires, but a disadvantage to Malik Ray, who took 4 fresh tires. We have not had a first-time race winner yet this season. Blaze Crawford, the highest-ranked rookie, 17th place in the points. And I'll use this as a stat I've been sitting on, and that is it has been 28 races since we have seen a rookie win a race in the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing series. That is the longest streak without a rookie race winner in series history. Prior longest, 25 races between Mitchell DeYoung at New Hampshire in 2021 and Tucker Minter at Daytona in 2023. So a few years ago, we were talking about how accessible this series was. We were seeing flocks of rookies, 8 cars strong, 9 cars strong a season. The series may be tougher for a rookie than it has ever been because that drought of a rookie going to victory lane sits at 28 races in length. Your highest running rookie in the field right now is Connor Yurchak. He's back at 14th. He's got some work to do. Here we go, though. 18 laps to go this time by. Cozy wants to get another mammoth restart to get away to turn 1. Green flag back in the air. Wilson hot on his heels.
Oh, Stephen Wilson was an absolute rocket ship there on that start. He was switched on. Zach Novak was half a beat short, and it was troublesome. Look at the way Wilson runs out of 2. 3 wide there as they go in towards turn 3, but Stephen Wilson is on a rampage, moving to that inside, but trying to take it away. Cozy's going to use the outside for vital defense.
He's going to try to use that outside, make it difficult for the 70-70 car to get back on the throttle, corner off. But that's where those tires are going to be effective. That 34 car squeezed to the outer edge, but will not give up. And Zach Novak defends 3rd from Malik Ray. But at a turn number 4, first time tonight, it's the Iowa native, Stephen Wilson, to the race lead.
And it's not going to be long before you see Zach Novak follow in tandem, goes down low and really looking to get that charge. Seth Merchant's also making good progress up there, 4th and 5th. Caution, though, comes out, and we get another cycle to go back through. One of the Apex 90 cars there, the 98, ends up facing the wrong way for a bit. That's Cody Bias in a bit of trouble, but you take the lead with 15 laps to go. If you're not leaving that much time left, I would love to be Stephen Wilson and Zach Novak running roughshod at the front.
And this caution going to be great for Wilson, just like it was good news when Cozy was the beneficiary, because it means at least about 4 of the 15 laps left to go in this race are going to happen from the comfort of pace car speed where nobody can challenge. Let's wind it back, see what happened at a 2 and 3 wide turns to 4 wide. Just a bad exit off the corner. That was the 21 car, a Michael Guest topside, Jake. The 3 cars in the battle would have been fine, but when that 21 just lost speed off the corner, it made 3 wide to 4. They did not have the real estate. Odd man out there was Cody Bias.
And it's the case of where do you position yourself? Where do you have the opportunity to give yourself that line to say, I can go and charge forward? You can't just expect it to be perfect 3-wide racing all the time. This is a scenario that evolves as you go here, Evan. And so when you get stuck in that position, you try and do everything you can to try and keep yourself in play. Now to the race leader, Stephen Wilson. We'll try a second time to get Stephen along here. Stephen, do you have a copy, buddy?
Yeah, I do. I got you unmuted this time.
Yeah, absolutely fantastic run there off of that restart. Gets yourself up to the front. We've been talking about how ever since that first caution has come into play, it's you with the tyre call that has just been romping through the field. You're staring down the barrel of your 5th race win of the season. Just talk us through your day and how much you're enjoying the brand new element of what you've got currently right now piloting with Car 77.
Yeah, I just want to give a shout out quick to Spire and GDC and all the boys behind the scenes. First off, I feel like we've gotten really lucky to be at this point. I don't think we've had quite the car to compete for a win today, but we just had the right tire strategy there, staying out and having a clamp that caused that yellow. So hopefully we can hold them off. I'm on 2 tires right now and I'm crashing loose. So we might need a couple more yellows here. Novak is, I think, better than me by far. So we'll just see if we keep getting lucky. The tires are exploding here on new pavement, and I don't really like that, but what can you do? Hopefully it's not like that everywhere else, but yeah, so far the new build is whatever.
Well, you find yourself at the front as you have been so often this season. When it comes to a couple cautions, are you looking around and trying to think, right, how do I get away? Is there anybody a little bit further back behind Zach Novak that you're also keeping your eyes on?
To be honest, I have no idea who's on tires right now or not. I don't know who's fast. I think it's just me versus Novak, and we'll see what happens on the restart here. I think I can get a good launch from the lead here. It's kind of hard to not spin your tires with the rough pavement on the front stretch. So hopefully we just get a good launch, and hopefully they'll be side by side for a little bit and we can catch another yellow.
Well, it's going to be a case of hand-to-hand combat there for Stephen Wilson. Believes it's a 1v1, Evan.
Well, I think that point about the restarts being difficult, we've seen that true tonight. The way they line up, I think, will benefit that 77. Remember, when Wilson restarted in 3rd, he was able to chase Cozy. Oftentimes that 3rd place starter, so the car inside of row 2, has a better chance to chase the leader just because you can see them, right? They're right in front of you. It's easier to see when they fire off, often disadvantaging the car on the outside of row number 1. In this case, Cozy, the driver in that preferred, we'll call it 3rd spot, has older tires than anybody else inside of the top 8. So if he struggles to fire off the challenge, if he can maybe bog down the 2-0 back, I think it plays well into Stephen Wilson's hands. Is this the final restart? Coming to 11 laps to go, no matter how many more times we've got to do it. Executing the restart through the gears, going to be critical. Green flag flies. We're back underway. Clean start amongst your leaders. A little bit of struggling on the bottom. That was Malik Ray, who did not fire off well from P5. Stacks up the bottom. Wilson and Novak clear for 1st and 2nd.
Keep an eye on Tyler Gary in 7th. Big issues they go through. The big one strikes, and a lot of the mid-pack of the field gets caught out in that one. Put about 6th down to about 15th, all somewhere involved.
Big mess as several top contenders involved. Count Ryan Luza in the number 12 machine. He's involved in this one. You got the number 1 car, also Malik Ray is damaged. The 29 of Jimmy Mullis. The 24 of Casey Kerwin. Let's watch it unfold ahead of them. Hurst, the 1 car, Ray, they get together, and it all falls apart.
It's a very, very fragile house of cards there. The moment you get one bit of contact front to rear, you are trying to hold the car as much as you possibly can. You get a little bit of an extra sense with the new build now with the tyres on what the limit feels like, how much slide recovery you've got. Not everybody's got that 100%. You've got a bit more play, but the moment that you extend out past 30 degrees, 40 degrees, it becomes exponentially harder to hold on to it, and ultimately, it's right back into the line of traffic.
So this is, in the words of Stephen Wilson, possibly good news. He feels like that 2 of Novak, who is also on the same strategy as him, they both took 2 tires, he feels like Zach Novak has the better race car. So these yellows could be helping the 77. Let's go on board with Michael Guest and see his perspective. It was his Vegas Inferno teammate Malik Ray who got out of shape up the road. Not a lot of racetrack open. He goes high, then low, and then more contact. That was Bolin and one of the Sunoco cars. They almost binned it under the yellow, trying to get off of 4. lot of turn 3 and 4 scaries for guests there, but he's able to get through unfazed, and it's the point in the race where it becomes a survival of the fittest.
And here's something that's quite interesting as well here, Evan. Because the caution came out so early, there are drivers who made a huge amount of progress through all of the drama, but are going to get put back in line for as and when the caution came out. Biggest loser in that, Matt Buser. He was 6th coming out of all of that drama. He's now down in 16th because of where the caution came.
And he's frustrated with that, but that seeding for the lineup going to be based on the moment of caution, which happened pretty quickly when those cars went up and into the outside wall. But you saw how long the chaos continued basically through the entirety of turns 3 and 4 with what we'll call that nearly second incident coming off of turn 4. So Busa a little bit frustrated about his track position, but it is of the moment of the caution flag. And for Busa, that's going to drop him right back into the midfield in the number 16 spot. And now you watch these laps tick away, tick away. Seth DeMerchant is now up to a race high number 3 position. We talk about that streak of first-time winners. Well, Seth in search of career race win number 1. He is the first car on 4 fresh tires. He restarts 3rd. Could he swoop in, steal the show, and snap the streak?
3 top 5 finishes over the course of this season, 2 third-place finishes this season. Seth DeMerchant comes into today 23rd in points. A win today most definitely will move DeMerchant up into the top 20 and bank that win and in mentality. So that is going to be a lot of importance. And here's something crucial. After a lot of that drama on the double wide starts, it's a single file restart.
We did not get a full lap complete, so race control says that 6 laps to go, single file restart. This is going to double the gaps and make it maybe a little bit better for the lead cars up front. Let's try it again. 6 laps to go in Iowa. Back underway through the gears to turn 1. How about 5+ car lengths for the 77?
How about that for a good start? How about Jordi Lopez starting to find some movement now and is really trying to rock and roll away up through this pack. Down low on Michael Cozy, who remembers out there with some of the oldest tires that anybody's got. It's 4th now for the BS Plus car. 3 wide they go. Malik Ray in trouble. The 15 of Colin Keister up to 9th.
And this is some of the stuff that Steven Wilson does not want to see in the rearview mirror. He got the restart he needed. I think he wants this race to stay green and not have to go through another restart procedure. 3, maybe 4 wide, off of 4 for a moment there. There's a lot still to be exchanged in the midfield. This battle with Christopher Hill and others, about 13th place on back. The 12 Aluza drops back on the outside. That's the 6-way up top as Holland Bowden losing some ground. But this time by, your race leaders look to 3 laps to go.
And they will look and think, if you're Steven Wilson, you've timed that absolutely to perfection. The gap's there. You don't have to worry too much. 3 wides in the middle every single lap. There is fear. They've got to get to 1 lap to go. That is where perfection is found, and they know that it will go green to the end of the race. Steven Wilson is praying right now that each and every car behind decides they're going to play ball and have a very good fight. Michael Cozy wasn't very happy at that 3 wide to go. A lap and a half remains, but look at Zach Novak chasing that gap down to 3.5 tenths of a second, trying everything possible.
Doing everything he can, but is he going to run out of time? Steven Wilson, penultimate time off of turn 4. White flag in the air. This race is official. And on a season in where he has been so good, tonight was not his night. Not the dominant car. But when you're in the zone and you're having a good year, all things come up 7s. And Steven Wilson, the Hawkeye State native, gonna stay undefeated at his home racetrack. Wilson, winner again in Iowa.
5-time, 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 5-time winner this season. Say no more.
The Segment 2 champ, well and on his way to the postseason, wants another segment title en route. fifth race win of the season, the second time he's gone back-to-back in 2025. This winning moment is brought to you by Coca-Cola, the official fan refreshment of eNASCAR. Well, let's take a look at tonight's Coca-Cola move of the race as the hometown hero celebrates, and why not a trip around the Legends Oval here at the Iowa Speedway, a racetrack that is so significant for that man right there. What a moment. He's a 5-time race winner and now has taken over sole possession of that number 6 spot on the all-time wins list. Let's take a look at your Coca-Cola full race results first. It is Wilson leading only 17 laps on the night. Means that once more 0 for 10 on pole sitters finding victory lane. He gets the win over Zach Novak in second, Seth the Merchant in third. We'll try to get a word with those top finishers in a few moments. Jordy Lopez and Taylor Hurst. How about those top 5 results? Big gains for Tyler Gary, the E-Racer team, snagging a P6. Connor Urashak, highest finishing rookie in 7th, but you can't help but feel that Michael Cozy Jr. Jake going to be disappointed with a P10 after he led the most laps tonight.
Yeah, it's just a case of being stuck out, wrong strategy. Graham Bolin ending up in 11th with Christopher Hill in 12th, who ran quite a lot of this race inside the top 10. The driver who's going to be very upset is Vicente Salas. Did almost everything right today, but just when needed it the most, it all disappeared. Donovan Strauss 15th, Matt Booser getting a bit unlucky as well. There's Blaze Crawford, the rookie leader, 19th position overall, and Timmy Holmes then rounding out the top 20 from the back rows out there of the grid.
And you continue through the 20s. What storylines are back here? Well, a lot of drivers cycled out on some strategy. I'll say big pickups for the likes of Blake McCandless, who was stuck in the 30s a lot tonight. Bobby Zelensky, though, opposite story. You saw Ryan Luz up in the mix. He leads a lap in this one. And then really the rough results all the way down at the bottom of that one. Minter, by far the worst result of the year for the driver of that number 97 machine. Again, is it Iowa? Is it the new build? We're not hitting the panic button, but not a good showing for Tucker Minter tonight. Let's take a look at your Coca-Cola move of the race tonight. Steven Wilson was in the game all night long, and with the single file restart, Jake was picture perfect on the restart.
Yeah, and that's what you've got to be down in the final stage of the race. It's okay being able to make a move here, make a move there. There's a lot of flashy moves that Steven Wilson did today, but this is why it's the Coca-Cola move of the race, because when you need to build a gap late in the race, when your races are decided by how clutch you are, it's very simple. He doesn't drive automatic, he drives manual, he's got the clutch.
And he was able to drive on for that 6 lap to go restart en route to victory lane. What he does continues to impress. And again, sometimes just the way it is. Steven Wilson did not have the best car tonight. He felt like Zach Novak had the better car for the final restart. But maybe when it's your year, it's your year. It's a 5th win for him. Again, that's big for him, contesting a Segment 3 title, which would help him out playoff point-wise. Jake, let's get a word with tonight's race winner.
Everything comes up. Steven Wilson, it seems, here today at Iowa. You've got a massive affinity with this place, Steven, and it really shows for you in Spire Motorsports. That run that you had to jump through the field in the second half of that race gave you the platform, but how crucial was it seeing those back-to-back cautions and getting a single-file restart?
Yeah, hell yeah, this is awesome. 2 for 2 in my home state. It's my first race. I'm not in Iowa anymore, but still winning here at home, which is always cool. So still a Hawkeye State, still undefeated. But yeah, that was really cool being able to run through the field there on tires. Made some 3-wide moves that were pretty bold, but I knew I had to beat Novak through the traffic to win that race. So yeah, just shout out. Honestly, the shout out goes to Clampett for causing the caution in the long run while I was staying out. So MVP to him, I guess. The strategy just ended up working out. I saved just enough tires. I had pretty much a blown right rear when that caution came out. The tires just don't last anymore like they used to. So we were saving with every bit we had, and just made it long enough to make it to that caution.
It certainly worked out for you. Now, talk us through being in a position where you've won championships before, you're looking to get back to a level where you can pick up another, you're having a truly dominant season, and now you're starting to think about playoff picture when it comes into play. How important are these victories for you, for giving you that margin to go and really work and say, you know what, I don't have to worry so much when it comes to Michigan. I won't have to worry so much when it comes to Texas and Phoenix.
Yeah, I'm already working on regular season points with a drop, with my internet going out at Vegas. So it's kind of working in the same thing. I can do the same thing in the playoffs. I got 30 points. So I've almost got a race on all those guys who will be in who haven't won. So it just really takes your mind off of, or any pressure off. It takes your mind and just really eases it when you go into those playoffs. Because Michigan, we don't know what this build, but last year and the year before we've had pack races there. So you never know what to expect. And anything going wrong in your playoffs and you can be out, because the 10 guys who show up there will be very stout and running up front, you would have to expect. So you have to have 3 strong races if you don't win a race or if you don't have 30 playoff points. But obviously with the scenario that we're building up here and the wins we keep racking up, I think we can go in very strong, and I don't think it'll matter. I think we'll win a race in the playoffs too.
Well, the confidence is certainly there, and we're seeing that wonderful bit of driving from you. That is Steven Wilson, your winner here from Iowa, a home state. Absolutely there. That shows how much it means. Second position, though, overall today for the 3rd time this season, Zach Novak. Zach, it must be frustrating in some ways to constantly be getting the bouquet, but never quite finding yourself up at the altar, so to speak. So today, a case of having the tyres, having the strategy, but running into a very impervious Steven Wilson.
Yeah, man. I really don't know what to say. Just not good enough. Really, really frustrating. Car was good. Strategy was obviously really good. We just had a feeling that something was going to happen under those green flag cycles. So we were far enough up front, and then once we were the net leader, at that point we had made our own bed, and we were just going to lay in it and hope for a yellow. And it played out perfectly for us. We had fresh tires. Would have been nicer if we could have restarted in the lead, but of course that wasn't quite how it played out. But our Marconi setup shop number 2 was on rails tonight, and just did a quite frankly terrible job on those late race restarts, and just got beat. So got to be better, and eventually I'm going to get tired enough of finishing second to finally close one of these things out.
Well, you have a very good record at the lower to medium length circuits. It's second at Richmond, it's second at Rockingham, it's second here in Iowa. It's Dover that comes up in 7 days. Do you feel like there's a confidence level that goes into it that says we are competitive at all of these circuits that are a little bit truncated and shortened down?
Yeah, absolutely. Dover, I won there in the Contender Series in 2023. I think it was. And then led a ton of laps there in my rookie season back in 2017. So I like the place. I'm very confident that, we'll show up with good pace, and just got to execute and, just be one spot better than we were tonight.
Zach Novak in the number 2 car for the 3rd time, being position number 2. And Evan, you can maybe just see there on his face just how much of the disappointment it was, because he knew, I just had it.
Yeah, it's going to be a good points night, but you want that win for some self-validation and to make yourself a little bit more comfortable in the points. And you know what will not make the field more comfortable? If you had to guess who the defending race winner at the Dover Motor Speedway is, and you guessed it right, it's Steven Wilson. It just seems like he is inevitable at this point, Jake, and it's only 1 week away as we head to the Monster Mile.
Look, this is going to be a circuit where everyone sees driver in form. One last time we were here, and I think drivers will quake in their sim racing shoes. They will be very nervous around the wheel and go, right, what are we going to have to do over this week to go and unlock a monster setup that's going to start putting things away? When it's someone's season, it's someone's season, but Dover has a little habit of putting something slightly different on the table, giving a slightly different result. So I'd say it's going to be a day of what more can you find? And so in 7 days, it's a quick turnaround. Some teams, some drivers are going to look around and go, we need to find some pace and quick.
Yeah, and that pace continues with races, 2 more over the course of the next 2 weeks. The summer stretch of this eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing series continues, and we hope that you stick with us through it. Until then, though, that is it for us here tonight from Iowa. On behalf of our entire team at iRacing, NASCAR, and your broadcast team tonight, for Camille Salazar, Hadaway, Alan Cavana, and Ryan Vargas on Countdown to Green, for James Pike, James Berry, and myself, Evan Pasoko. I want to say thanks for tuning in as we get set to go at it once more. Next time out, round 11 is in 1 week's time, Tuesday, June 24th at iRacing's virtual Dover Motor Speedway. That race and every race of the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing series can be found right here on the iRacing Esports Network. Until then, good night from Iowa, where Steven Wilson's dominant 2025 has continued. Stick with us. The Sunoco post-race report starts next.
Good evening and welcome to the Sunoco post-race report for the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series at Iowa Speedway, round number 10 of the 2025 season. I'm James Pike. He's Keenan Kusin. Justin Malillo from iRacing is going to join us in a little bit. Keenan, I look at this race. I don't necessarily know if it's a classic case of maybe sometimes better to be lucky than good, though I also don't want to discredit what happened in the race either. But Steven Wilson made the right call on strategy when we got the yellows in the middle, and then the last 30 laps drove up to the front, grabbed the track position, held it, stayed. In that sense, that was a very, very big display of skill. Big testament to why Steven Wilson's one of the biggest threats in the Coke Series right now, period.
Yeah, I think you can't just nail it down all the way to luck, as you said, James. You know, you still have to drive your way up there, still have to make the call and think of the call. It's basically creating your own luck. And Steven Wilson, I'm sure this is one that he wanted, and he got it. Steven Wilson, top of the board tonight.
Wilson, your winner. Zach Novak, Seth the Merchant rounding out the podium. We're going to hear from all three of those on the post-race report. Jody Lopez and Taylor Hurst with great runs, I believe. Best finishes of the year for both of them. Same can be said about Tyler Gary. We'll hear from him too. Connor Yarashak was the highest finishing rookie. Keister, Alt, Cozy rounding out the top 10. We are joined now by our race winner, Steven Wilson. As Evan mentioned on the broadcast, back-to-back in Iowa. So, Steven, you look at this race, you compare it to last year. Last year, it was a gloves-off brawl with Parker. This year, a little bit more nuanced, a little bit more thinking in this. What was your general approach coming into this evening?
I didn't really know what to expect tonight. You know, in practice, we were really killing the tires. You know, I made it about 55-ish laps in the mock race we did yesterday, and so I honestly, once I was 8th or so, I just sat there and saved the whole run and knew I would have to just hopefully make it to a point where a yellow would have to come out, because I obviously didn't have the pace to run with them in the heat or in the main. So I think I was just pretty much stuck where I was at. I think having dirty air this race honestly helped, because I was able to hold off some guys. You know, I think the two treetop cars rolling the bottom were probably the quickest ones here, other than the leader. So, you know, the main goal was just to stay out there. I knew, obviously, I had 4 wins. I'm pretty safe for the playoffs, or very safe for the playoffs. I'm in the playoffs, but I was just trying to go for what would get me another win, and it worked out perfectly. You know, I didn't have the speed, but this shows that even though we didn't have the speed for probably the first time all season, that second time all season with Rockingham that we were able to sit here and still find a way to win and find our way to fight through.
Steven, it's Justin Malillo again from iRacing, and I just gotta wonder, like, with racking up all of these playoff points and being now the leader of the segment 3 points already to start this off, when you do go into the playoffs, does each 5 playoff points that you earn just make it so that you're less worried about having to get that win to make it to the championship 4?
Yeah, I mean, like I said right after the race, it's like I've almost got a whole race advantage on what would right now be 6 guys who are entering the playoffs without a win. But it's huge if I can just basically have a race where something goes wrong. I finish 40th, and it's like I'm right there with them. So it just gives me a little more leeway. Obviously, I don't want to race to finish 40th. It's not what I'm here for. We've got good speed, and I think we'll build off of what we have here and be able to come out with a bit of a better piece at Dover. So I'm just excited. We have this new build. It evens everybody out. Everybody's got a new starting point, and it's just on us now to build our speed from now until those playoffs and make it so that 30-point buffer just means nothing, and I can go out there and be confident that I'll be able to have the speed to win a race at Michigan, Texas, or Phoenix.
Stephen, obviously you're from Iowa, this Iowa Speedway, but every race is technically your home race. You're in the same chair every time. What does it mean to you to win and perform at a track that is your home track?
Yeah, it's really cool. Obviously last year I was elbows up trying to get the win here, so it meant a lot to me last year to win the inaugural, and I didn't really think, through the first, through the whole heat race, through the first 70 laps of the feature, I didn't really think we had a chance, but it means a lot to be able to win here at home. But, obviously with this, I'm in North Carolina now, I'm not in Iowa, so it's kind of just funny to still be able to come race at home and then go back to victory lane. So it's cool to be able to be an Iowan. There's not a whole lot of Iowans on the scene, to my knowledge. I've met a few, and we're all pretty nice to each other, all the ones that I've met. So it's really cool to be able to show that Hawkeye pride and show the Iowa pride and win the race here for everybody in that state.
On that topic, again, first of all, it's a long time no see, by the way, a whole week and a half. But secondly, as you know, we do a little bit of a question of the day here on the Sunoco Post Race, and in keeping of the theme of Iowa Speedway, I'm sure you're going to get sick of hearing this, but you have found yourself surprisingly in a huge cornfield. Who from the Coke Series grid do you think would be the best to find your way out, and who is definitely getting you lost?
Who's getting me lost? Well, I've had probably Bowden get me lost. That guy's, he's out there, he's out to lunch. He'll probably just be distracted. He'll probably love being out in the cornfields. He'll just have a 6-pack with him or something and hang out and chill for the day. But who would I want with me? I think I got my Inspire teammate Femi. He's my boy. He's always thinking. He's always 2 steps ahead. He's always analyzing everything. And so I think I'd take him with me. I think we'd be good.
And one more before I've wanted to know this since last week. For those who aren't in the Discord, you might not understand this, but when are you officially being drafted into the Olot and Bolson family? When is that? When's that ceremony happening for you?
Yeah, I know. I added my name. I added Femi's name to the middle of my name here in Discord for the whole season, and it seems to work out pretty well. So I should have him draft me pretty soon. I'll go up to Boston and go meet the whole family, and I'll become one with them. So yeah, it's really cool. Obviously I put my profile picture right now. I changed it just today to is Caitlin Clark's record-breaking shot at college. So I changed that today to hopefully get some luck, and it proved that she was on our side tonight too. And she's insane. She's a bit more famous of a Hawkeye than I am, but she's doing great things for Iowa and everybody from the state too.
So what you're telling me, Stephen, basically is that you're going to get adopted into the Femi's family. I'm not even going to try, but you're going to get adopted into his family. And then does that mean you're going to go up there, I guess, New Hampshire race weekends and maybe go through official ceremonies, perhaps?
Yeah, I might have to, go hang out there. Or he might have to come down here. Maybe the family should come down to North Carolina, down to Race City, and come hang out too, So we'll see though. Yeah, I'll do the official ceremony soon. We'll make sure to share it out there on the socials and let everybody know when it's happening.
Which to that end, I'm glad you brought that up, because I wanted to ask about that specifically, because for those who are unaware, you've made the jump. You are now no longer living in the Hawkeye State, but you are a resident of North Carolina. So what's that process been like, and how have you adjusted these first few weeks?
Yeah, it's been good. I got here last Sunday, so I've been here for about 9 days now, and it's really fun. I've been here to the area, obviously the 3 championship races. I've been to Charlotte, and I've been here for races and all that stuff, and hanging out with like Donovan and people down here who I know, and Vicente and JD and all these people. So there's a lot of friends that I have down here. I've been hanging out. My Spotter Shield house, we'll probably be going to Andy's to get some frozen custard. Maybe not tonight, they might be closed, but maybe here pretty soon. We went last week, and Ryer as well. So I've got plenty of guys down here in this area who I've been hanging out with, and it'll be cool to be able to just kind of go to races. I'll be going to car store stuff and being closer to Spire, hang out closer with them and maybe see what can happen in the industry. But so far, just being able to hang out. Everybody at Spire's been great. Everybody friendly down here has been great. So just really great area as well. Met the neighbors. Goose likes it, so I think we're doing good.
This is good that Goose is big. Also, I heard car stores. Does that mean we're going to see you at Caraway, perhaps?
I am planning to be at Caraway. Yeah, I'll see you there.
All right. Okay. So Steven Wilson getting it done in the virtual world, getting it done in the real world. Winner in his home state tonight. Steven, congratulations on the dub. We look forward to seeing you at Dover.
Thank you. Go Hawks.
Go Hawks indeed. Keenan, I feel like you should probably start with this because you're sort of our resident bringer of chaos, and I think the next 2 drivers are pretty good at that. So we've got Michael Cozy Jr., who is one win away from seeing his team win an NBA championship. He got himself a solid 10th tonight, racing for the ERA Esports team, and then Jordy Lopez Jr. for BS Plus competition, also in the house. Keenan, rip with these guys. I want to hear what you have.
Well, big fan of both these dudes, first of all. Cozy, welcome back. Jordy, really nice to have you in here finally. Cozy, this one's for you. I know it wasn't the result you wanted tonight. Obviously, showed a lot of speed out there, but compared to the beginning of the season, especially last season, how does it feel now being able to look in your rearview mirror and just watch everybody get smaller?
Oh, it's a real good feeling. It definitely brought back good memories from Richmond last year, but then all the bad memories come on back when I lose the race still. So, it's like you said, we had a real tough 2024. It's a bad year altogether. This year has been kind of on the verge, back and forth here and there. We've had, I feel like it's sometimes worse luck than we did last year, but I think, myself as a driver has been more on it this year and learning just a little bit better. Obviously, with the new build and all that stuff, threw us a big wrench this week in particular. So the first half, hey, that's great. This is such a good way to start the second half. Because I think we came in -8 to the point in to the playoffs. We'd flirted with that point in since my rookie year. We about did it. Again, 2024 was here and there. We could have had a shot at it, but we just had worse luck there. And then we're looking to have another go this year. We're going to see. And again, we got those. I'm a huge fan of those 10 extra bonus points from the heat because it really kind of softens the blow when we didn't go out there and get the win. But man, I'm hopeful for this new build. And, just trying to take it one race at a time. But I think it's good to get everybody kind of back and even again. And I think hopefully we'll keep on sending it the rest of the season here.
And Jordy, kind of a similar story for you. You've shown a lot of flashes of pace, maybe just not having that last little 5%, that little piece of luck to get you there. What was different about tonight? Was it just everything kind of coming in your favor, or was it more of a amalgamation of everything that you've worked up for to this point?
I honestly think it was just everything coming together. We pitted on the first stop, and when the caution came out, I didn't think it was the smart call to pit for tires under green. And then I just took 4 tires. I made an adjustment to the car, and that was the best thing that I could have done for my race. It gave me the grip to be able to run lanes where the other cars weren't, and I was able to move forward because of that. And it doesn't help also that I avoided a big crash in turn 3 towards the end of the race, and that really helped us out to catapult us forward. The cow.
I've been hypnotized. Where you want to talk about it, Cozy? Who's your new friend? Who's the chum?
Oh yeah, this is my little pal. It's, I don't really have a name for him yet, but this is our core power Fairlife. This is our stress cow. You know, I was cranking this thing under caution here, so yeah. Well, we have lovely partners here at the core power Fairlife folks. We really appreciate those. Like I said, they got us fueled up here for the second half of the season. So I hope you guys will get some core power in you.
Gotta name that at some point, I think. Jordy, do you have any sort of like freebies like that you've gotten from the BS folks, or cool things that would like be roughly equivalent at all?
No, but I do have a McLaren GTR.
You told me you got that thing. Where you pull that thing from?
I built it like last year, and yeah, you see the detail, Cozy. You see the detail.
That's sweet. Like what?
And I keep that by me. Let me see. And no, that's about it.
All right, I love doing a whole bunch of fun, goofy stuff here. And what we're about to do is we're about to put Justin Melillo on the spot because he just came to us and he was like, I have a question, but I think it's too silly. So now I have backed him into a corner, and he will probably hate me for it later, but I want to hear what the silly question is, because if he's got a silly question, it's probably pretty good.
Well, now I'm not asking it, James Pike. I'm going to ask them about the race. You're welcome.
Ask away. Ask away.
I mean, if you want Drew to yell at you, that's on you, but that's
fine. Drew's already yelled at me enough tonight. It's fine. I'm used to it. I do want to ask you guys, I'm looking at the results, and we kind of saw what was going on throughout the race. I know you guys have like a tight-knit setup group. You got Seth that finished third. Jordy, you finished fourth. Cozy, you led the whole race pretty much until the caution came out. Still got 10th, and Chris got 12th. Did you guys lock Bobby and Tucker out of the setup this week? Is that what happened?
No, honestly, qualifying was very important, and a lot of us kind of made mistakes. The only one who brought their A game was definitely Cozy. He laid one down, and yeah, like the car was good, but of course when you're in the back, there's a lot that can happen to your race that's out of your control, and that's what ends up happening.
Yeah, I was gonna say I've been on the other end of it most weeks because I can't qualify worth a damn. So it's good to finally get one tonight. I know the boys are gonna be back after next week, but yeah, I hate to see. It's just qualifying was so important tonight, and I know Bobby probably and Tucker had some speed in their car. I hate to see Tucker get wiped out the way he did tonight. I hope there's some extra attention on that 42 car and all the shenanigans he's pulled this year. Hate get teammates taken out, stuff like that.
All right, I guess we're going to take this one from chat because I guess he's decided to take a little bit of a breather out of the race. But Tucker Binter wanted us to ask both Jordy what your favorite song is, and Cozy why your favorite song is Parked Out by the Lake.
Oh my God. Okay. Do you want to go, Cozy?
Well, mine's the easy one because if you didn't catch Twitter this week, the boys are about Parked by the Lake, and we had a lot of time out there, and we had a lot of time to think, and it was just beautiful out there by the lake, and I think I took out everything I need to go out there and qualify pole tonight. Maybe if I would have spent just one more hour at that lake, I could have won it. What meant to be.
I'm gonna say for me is Peekaboo by Kendrick Lamar.
You and Malik may have beef then.
I'm about to say, yeah. So something tells me that you've been just going right on through the new album here. That you've just been listening to GNX left, right, center for most of the months.
Yeah, about that. But I'm a Drake fan though, still. But I like all kinds of music.
Whoa! Drake fan. Listening to Kendrick, is that allowed in 2025? Can we do that?
I don't think so. It's illegal, I think.
Fair. Okay. Also, Cozy, are you going to get up to shenanigans should the Thunder get the job done here later this week?
It depends on what kind of shenanigans we're talking about.
And what kind of shenanigans are you and the Nick Collison jersey going to get up to?
Well, I mean, to be fair, my shenanigan was already just going to a finals game. We hauled out the game 2 shortly after. It was the best week to do it because we didn't have anything to test, and we were waiting on that new build. So, yeah, my shenanigans were spent in Oklahoma City, but we're going to have to... I don't want to put the jinx on, man, because we still got one more game. But one more game. We can talk about shenanigans after one more game. We got 2 chances to win 1 game. That's all right. Thursday night, baby. We're going to be locked in. I also, since I got my playoff shirt, night game 2, it's laying back there. I've worn it 2 more times, and we were undefeated. We were 3-0 in the playoff shirt, so it's going on Thursday night. We'll see you there.
All right, playoff shirt. Okay, so you sounded like a lot of fun. Keaton, hit us with some drift magic.
Yeah, I was going to say, fun fact, me and Jordy have somewhat known each other for probably about 10 years on and off. We didn't know this until about last year, which was hilarious. Something that a lot of people watching may not know is Jordy is part of, I would consider, one of the OGs of sim drifting, period, and he's still very involved in the community. Jordy, first, really open question on that is, how much does that help with your eNASCAR stuff? Obviously, rear-wheel drive, especially on the new tire. And what's going on with you in that world right now?
Honestly, I'm just taking it easy right now. I have a league that starts in September towards the end of Coke. And if I do good there, then I'll get my VDC license, and it's like a Coke license for drifting practically. So I'm doing that, but for now, I'm just taking it easy, and it helps me out with NASCAR in general, because I feel like I can feel the car a lot more. The force feedback is a little strong when I'm drifting, so I really don't understand it, but I definitely do feel like my pace in the race is definitely a lot better, and it also helps me being able to handle a loose car without overdoing it or overstepping it. It made me become smoother in a sense. It's hard to explain, but I definitely don't feel like me drifting now is affecting my driving in any way. If I think it's helped me qualify in a bunch of tracks and stuff like that, so I can't complain.
We're gonna catch you back at Englishtown this week, or
possibly. I'm not sure yet.
Roya gonna go back to back, baby. That's my dog.
Yeah.
Finally a sport I know things about. One time, you need to start winning more. We can continue next week.
I'll try.
I'll talk about basketball. I don't know what the heck's going on up here. Anyway, James Pike.
But Keaton, you know hockey by default. You're Canadian.
We don't want to talk about that right now.
Fair,
Not a good time for us right now. I don't know where you are in the world, Kenneth Bueno, when I'm mad at you.
Fair. He's off in Italy saying "Vamos Gatos." I know that's what he's doing. But for now, let's let Jordy and Michael get off our carousel of ridiculousness and say thank you both for coming in. Thanks for dropping some knowledge on both of us, and hope you've had a ball. So there's Jordy Lopez, Michael Cozy Jr. We turn our attention now to Kevin Arvid Inks, Matt Busa, and Zach Novak for Channel 199 Sim Racing. Justin, you know what? We haven't actually had the chance to start with you in a hot minute. So Justin, how about we start with you? Because I know you've got some actual knowledge that you want to gain out of all of this. Smarter than ours, of course.
I do want to pick Matt's brain because I was watching his ascent through the field at the early stages of the run, and I got to find the numbers here, but Matt, you started, I think, 37th in qualifying. Yeah, I got the numbers here. You started 37th. You qualified 37th, which means you started 19th in your heat. You got up to finish 8th in the heat. You started 15th in the feature and then got up to 6th in the feature. Where was that speed? Where has that speed been all season, Matt Busa?
That's just this new tire model, new build. For the last year and a half, it's been the exact same tire model and car pretty much, and I feel like we still don't know, but I feel like there must have been some kind of trick in the setup or something that our team is just missing, and we were legit 30 to 35th place for the last year, and it's been really challenging to stay motivated and still test, knowing that we're likely going to be there unless we find some extra speed in the setup. And it was never for a lack of effort, but with this new tire model, I feel like whatever the other teams had is no longer an advantage to them. So yeah, it felt really, really good, even though, you know, back in the day, if I finished 5th, I would be disappointed I wasn't competing for the win, but now just to run top 10, it felt like a win.
Well, we'll look forward to more of the same from you for the rest of the season then. I'll switch over to Zach now. Zach, another P2 in the points, still looking for the win. I know you got one recently in FTF, so, I mean, it's not all doom and gloom, but, I mean, what's it got to take to get you back into eNASCAR victory lane here?
Simple answer, man, is got to be better. That's really the simplest answer I can give you. I was just those last couple restarts were some of the worst restarts of my career. So yeah, just really terrible from me on those last few restarts, and I'm just frustrated with myself, man. Like I had a really good opportunity. We passed Steven under green on the bottom, which is something, you know, besides these two Kevin Harvick cars, you know, you didn't really see that happening all race. So we passed Steven on the bottom and set ourselves up really good, and literally like 3 more laps and we had the lead and the race was over. So yeah, just late race restarts got to be a lot better, and hopefully we're in the, you know, the lead for those next time that comes around.
It's not all terrible, Zach. There are at least going to be 2 spots on points into the playoffs, and you've got a full race over the next guy who hasn't won a race. So you just got to hold on to that 40-point advantage over the next 4 races, and we'll be seeing you in the playoffs. But thank you both. I'm going to give it back to the other 2.
You're going to make us do work, Justin? Man, how mean. Terrible. What
Listen, man, this is your show, not mine.
Fair. Okay. Well, we're going to take a question, especially for Matt, from our producer, Cisco, who wanted to ask a little bit about Matt's relationship with Sim Racing Chicago. For those who are unaware, they have sim racing lounges that they run in the Chicagoland area. Matt has competed in Coke Series races in the past from some of their locations. They've been expanding in the Chicagoland area as of late. They opened up a new location recently. So what's your relationship with them been like, and what's it been like to see their growth?
Yeah, that has been amazing. Glad you guys asked about that. We did just open a second location here in the Chicago suburbs that has a full bar, kitchen, everything. We're opening up a 3rd location actually here in the next month, and I'm going to be the manager of that one. It's literally, I could walk to work. It's going to be super nice. But yeah, working with those guys there, they're very passionate about sim racing, and just being able to on a daily basis like help customers enjoy my passion in life, motorsports and sim racing in particular. It's really, really rewarding, and we have some massive things in the works as we look to expand further and have tournaments, leagues, prizes, massive prizes. So yeah, and hopefully you guys will see me start streaming once we open up this new location. I plan on streaming there in the mornings before we open to the public daily. So
okay, that's a plan. Also, I take it sort of maybe by extension, this feels like low-hanging fruit, but are we going to see you at the Chicago Street Race in a few weeks?
I will not be there. I went the first year and the second year. Yeah, I went the second year as well. But for me, road courses, I'm more of a guy where I like to watch, you know, my favorite driver, watch battles on track the entire time. And at the road courses, you know, you can only see them for a couple seconds and you gotta wait a minute. So I will not actually be there, but I will be watching on TV for sure.
Fair. All right. Zach, for you, also from Cisco. So there's a story that's been told about your shenanigans with Femi Ola. You two are both Northeastern guys, and you went out axe throwing together last year. So Cisco wants to know, have you gotten in a little bit more practice as an axe thrower, and do you have any more fun hobbies that you picked up maybe?
No, I have not. I was very terrible at axe throwing. I don't even know if there's one around here, to be honest, on the Connecticut shoreline. So I'm not really sure if I'd even have an opportunity to do that. But in terms of hobbies, not really. I was going to the gym pretty often, which is something I've never really done before. So that, I guess you could kind of consider that a hobby. But besides that, not really. Just watching a lot of Bulls basketball, and well, not really anymore, unfortunately, because they're kind of bad. But watching Bulls basketball and doing some racing. That's pretty much it.
I was going to ask about the Bulls. For those who are unaware, Zach Novak is, I would say by some margin, the biggest Bulls fan in the Coke Series field and has been for a while. So you look ahead to 25-26, new TV deal, more money. But as a Bulls fan, what do you expect out of the Chicago Bulls next season? And is it just sort of, gear up for a long-term rebuild, or hope you see a little bit of progress? Where do you think things are going to go?
Well, Busa here is also a pretty big Bulls fan, to my understanding, so we both got that in common. But I don't know. I'm just hoping that they can figure out a direction. I've been saying it for years. One of my buddies is a big Pistons fan, and I just kept kind of reminding him when they went on that massive lose streak. At least your team has a direction to go in, and look at them this year. They made it to the playoffs and were really good in the playoffs. So hopefully the Bulls can do the same thing. That'd be nice. But I'm gonna watch regardless. So it is what it is. Just hopefully they figure it out.
Now, this is not to say that Matt Busa is not a Bulls fan, too, as he should be, Chicagoland native. But I don't want to ask you about the Bulls. I want to ask you about the Bears. And I want to know whether or not you think that Ben Johnson truly is the future.
Are you asking him or me?
Busa primarily.
Okay.
Though, if you got to take it at two, we'll hear it, Zach.
I'm not a Bears fan, so I digress.
Fair.
I think it's to be determined, but there is a lot of, positive momentum they'll have going into the season, just with the new head coach, playbooks, anytime you get a new coach, it just kind of changes the vibe and everyone expects it to be a better season. So hopefully that positive energy can correlate into some wins here. And I think we're capable of making the playoffs at the very least. And who knows how far you can go once we're in them.
Fair points, valid points. Also, Zach, we see you in chat. A lot of love between you and some of the folks here that are popping in. Also, if you have questions for some of the drivers that we're interviewing, feel free to drop them in chat. You might have a chance at having them be answered. But for now, Keenan Kusin, trying to get you back from the hockey sadness and get you chatting with drivers. I think that's a good way to.
Yeah, I heard basketball and literally just stopped paying attention there for a minute.
Well, you should pay a little bit more attention because it'll help you.
I'm staring at the hockey game score, crying, James. I'm sorry.
Why do you not like yourself?
It's not going well for us over here. I would be remiss to not mention this, though, because I could hear him in the back of my head. Last basketball question, I promise, Zach. Is Tibbs the future? Or Tibbs? Tobbs?
I don't know.
Tibbs.
I have quite a love-hate relationship with Tibbs. Obviously, great coach, and brought the Bulls a lot of success. That was a bit before my time. I was watching the Bulls, once he was kind of on his way out. But that game 1 of 2012 NBA playoffs will haunt me for the rest of my life. So I don't know. I don't think I can ever forgive Tibbs for that.
So
you know.
We have our question of the day, and this we'll start with you, Zach, but this is for both of you, obviously. So we raced at Iowa tonight, and Iowa's not, other than Steven Wilson's, not really famous for much. Some Americans are probably going to yell at me now, but you find yourself stuck in a massive, endless cornfield. Who on the grid, the Coke Series grid, is going to be the best to try to find your way out, and who is absolutely getting you lost?
Based on tonight, I think Clamp's getting me lost. I'm going to trust my teammate, Dylan Duvall.
I don't know. I would trust I may have to selfishly say myself, just because this reminds me of a story where me and Josh Fox, one of the Rallycross iRacing Road Championship drivers, we were kind of lost in some Pennsylvania woods on this massive hill and had no idea where our car was. And we climbed up the hill in all the snow, and literally right when we got to the top, our car was just sitting right there. And Josh wanted to go one way. I was convinced it was the other, and I was right, so I'm gonna use that experience. But as far as who would get us lost, maybe Clamp, maybe Blake, some guys that forgot which way the track was in recent weeks, but I mean, I don't know. That's a good question.
One to ponder, I think, for all of us. Matt, Zach, thank you so much for joining us on the Sunoco Post-Race Report. Thanks for the time, and we'll see you all in the first state as well.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
And to our final two drivers of the evening, we have Seth the Merchant and we have Tyler Gary, both here with us. Tyler, longtime competitor for eRacer, and Seth the Merchant here, who came home third, by the way. Solid run for him and for Gary, who came away with a sixth-place finish, but Merchant, the other half of the FGR SL eRacing duo. So, gents, you both have been racing in independent and private leagues here on the sim against each other for a long, long time. So, I'll open up to either of you to start, but when you've got that kind of experience racing alongside somebody, how does it change the way you approach just generally racing on the night?
It helps knowing how Merch is going to be. Like, I've raced him in the Super Speedway League for close to 5 years at this point, and I know I can trust him, and he's reliable on the track. He's not going to be stupid.
Yeah, and Tyler's always very respectful to me, and I don't know, I just think from knowing each other for a really long time and racing each other in leagues, you know, I think it just helps almost whenever you're around each other on track.
Good runs here, especially after the way things panned out with the caution, sort of splitting the pit cycle, and then both your collective abilities to sort of drive back up through the field and to your respective positions at the end of the night. Seth, is this a case of you maybe changing perceptions with runs, with the consistency, starting to establish yourself as someone that can be a playoff threat? And Tyler, how big is this just in terms of a sort of reset for your season to get things rolling and get some momentum going?
I think so. I've been approaching the races just a little bit differently, and you know, tonight I had a lot of luck to be able to get my track position back at the start of the heat, and then it put us in really good position for the feature, and we were able to work our way through the field and end up in third there at the end. And just, you know, trying to lean off my teammates Tucker and Bobby and how they always try to race, and I think it's been helping these past 4 weeks.
Yeah, hopefully tonight can be a turnaround point. Anytime we have a decent run going, top 15, top 20 even, we always seem to get wrecked. So hopefully tonight can be a turning point. I know we didn't have the speed tonight, but thankfully I thought of a strategy right before the race to just go as long as I could on tires. With the increased tire right now, it's hard. You couldn't go the entire race on tires unless you like super safe. So I was hoping someone was going to blow a tire before I did, and that was my strategy tonight.
Fair. Also, Tyler, you've got your Superior Race Cars hoodie on. For those that are unaware, what's the story behind that, and what should the people know about your connection with them?
So, Superior Race Cars is a Model Light chassis builder. Larry Hubbard Jr. out of Southern Florida. I'm the house car driver. I drive around Florida, Hendry County, Ocala. Sometimes go out of state. We were in Iowa the other weekend and had some decent runs. So if you need a Model Light chassis, hit up Superior Race Cars.
Especially if you're down in the Florida area, Keaton. I know you love Florida right now. Your favorite place in the world, right?
Why? I'm having such a good time. We're talking to Tyler Gary, brand new face. Got to see Seth Demersion up here again. You got to do this to me. It's unpleasant. I told Tyler in chat too, we were about to have an argument, and then he did the most honorable thing I've ever seen, and just admitted he was a fake fan. So, as a fake Oilers fan, I can stand with you on that one. But
it's like that Spider-Man meme, right?
Dude, Ottawa got knocked out round one anyway. Question from the chat. Of course, we are taking questions. If you guys have anything you'd love to ask our Coke Series drivers, you can ask it in our chat. This one comes from Clayton H. Seth, are you ever going to even your finals record versus Bobby on NBA 2K?
Probably not. He's got me by like probably 7 championships by now. Over like, I don't know, we've probably played almost 20 years, and he has the Bulls, and he has just an incredible team. So, you know, we're struggling to keep up as the Oklahoma City Thunder.
Sounds a lot like our Madden League.
Yes, he's got 99 everything, every position. So
Madden League? Question mark?
Yeah, we used to, about a year ago, we had a Madden League with a bunch of iRacers, and we would play it like after races. There was probably about 20 of us there for a while.
Yeah, Bobby would go undefeated every year and always win the Super Bowl, and I'd struggle to make the playoffs.
Why do I have the feeling that Bobby's the kind of guy that goes full junior with it and has like a whole spreadsheet and like a dedicated offense and a scheme and everything, right, Keenan? You can see that, right?
Yeah, what's really cool too is just I feel like you guys out there, maybe like even just outside of your teammates and your technical alliances, you're all kind of doing the same thing with your whole year, right? You're all eNASCAR drivers, so it's interesting to hear how much you're doing other things together outside of the races. How much are you playing games together, and is that a frequent thing that happens a lot?
In our team, like our Altanda team, pretty much every day, you know, after we do some runs, we usually do some testing, and then, you know, finish off the night with, you know, like me and Bobby have been playing like 2K for like an hour or so after, before we go to sleep. So I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I do it with my team every now and then. I know during the off season, like that Madden League, it was a lot of Altanda and a couple legacy guys. So, but I mostly play Rocket League, and I just try to find people to play Rocket League and are close to my rank. I know me and Merch have played a couple of times, but
yeah, Tyler's really good at Rocket League.
Big weekend coming up for Rocket League too. Rally Major coming up here in about what, 10, 12, 13 days, something like that, Gary? I assume you're going to be locked in when you're not practicing?
I don't really watch competitive Rocket League like how I used to. Used to watch Kronovi or whoever else back in 2017 when I was a big fan, but nowadays I don't even know who's the best in the world.
Keenan, should you drop a little bit more knowledge on them? Should we drop our question of the day, maybe?
I think, yeah, I was going to say, I don't know anything about Rocket League. Though cars that flip, they're not supposed to do that. So for both of you, obviously we were in Iowa tonight, and we try to keep our question of the day themed to where we are. So you are stuck in a massive cornfield maze. You have to pick one person from the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series grid to help you find your way out, and who on the grid is absolutely going to get you lost.
You want to go ahead?
Sure. I think Jordy would absolutely get me lost, and I'd probably want Tucker probably to help me get out of the maze.
I feel like Tyler has an answer here. He's had a devious grin on his face for the last 10 seconds.
I definitely would trust the Iowa native Steven Wilson to get me out. Granted, Iowa's like just a bunch of nothing, so it can't be that hard to get out of. But I think like Malik or someone like that, or like just, I don't know, someone who's always goofy would not trust to drive me out of a dangerous situation.
You heard it here first, folks. If you're funny, you have a bad sense of direction.
Essentially.
Is there like research on the correlation between that?
Many such cases.
I that doesn't shock me here, but Seth, Tyler, any fun stories from the past week, by the way? Just testing and getting ready for this build. Anything fun that's happened? Anything that sort of happens behind the scenes with the team stuff that, you know, is one of those sort of collective experiences that you don't get the chance to talk about, but it's part of what makes being a Coke driver so special? Maybe some nicknames that we should know about, perhaps?
I don't know anything special that happened. Just learning the tire and how it's different. Like the short track tire is way different from the 1.5 mile tire to the 2 mile tire. I haven't even tried the road course tire yet, so it's all very different.
Yeah, I would say, I mean, just from the update very first came out, it was fun. The first few hours, we thought we were going to be blowing tires all the time, so it was a fun experience at the very beginning. But you know, as we got to learn the update, it obviously wasn't like that unless you're going the whole distance of the race. But you know, fun. Every week's going to be a new challenge now with this update, and it'll be fun.
On that topic, sorry, Seth. On that topic, I sorry to be cringe and ask a racing question. But we obviously still have a lot of races left. Brand new tire, a lot of updates for you guys this week. Is there anything on the schedule that either you are looking forward to now that you have at least one race under your belt?
I'm always a fan of Phoenix. That's always one of my better tracks. So anytime we go to Phoenix, I look forward to it. Indy, to see how the aero is different now. I don't think the car's as drafty anymore, so we might be able to see some separation. But other than those two, I can't think of any.
I'm looking forward to Texas. That track has been very multi-gear for the past couple of years, and I think with the new aero on the 1.5 miles, it's gonna be it'll be a lot of fun. I think on the long runs, trying to find clean air.
Also, a question from our producer for both of you. Are you a New York pizza person or a Chicago deep dish person here, especially since we have the street race coming up in a few weeks?
Probably just New York.
I have a really good Chicago deep dish place nearby, but I went to a Brooklyn type place today, and I think they changed my mind. I think I'm more New York style.
Does Cisco have any fighting words? I bet Justin has some fighting words on that for sure.
In our chat, it just says they are getting DQ'd in all caps.
All right, so have fun. I guess I would assume this would be a qualifying DQ, right? Something to that effect, I would say.
That would be rough with the new aero. Come on.
I mean, I already qualified 35th, so you can't penalize me much more.
Fair. What about pizza toppings? Are we pineapple on pizza types at all? You want to start a ruckus with that?
Nothing.
Yeah, I'm a basic bitch. I just eat cheese pizza. That's it. Plain and simple.
Fair. Merch, what about you?
Just pepperoni.
So cheese and pepperoni. Okay, all right. So standard answers here. No surprises there. Merch, how was your time at the lake this past week? You and Cozy had a good adventure, I heard.
Yeah, that was fun. That's that song that they had posted on there had been kind of a meme within our team for the past couple of years. That one of our old teammates, Braden Willis, had showed us back in the day, and it was really funny that Cozy had made a little video out of it with all of our cars sitting next to the lake, and it was a good time.
We do love a good lake in this household. So we also love opportunities to chat with you too. So Seth, Tyler, a big thanks to both of you for your time this evening. Thanks for coming on the Sudoku Post Race Report, and we will see you all from Dover.
Thank you.
Yep.
Dover coming up next. Keenan Kusin, the Monster Mile. There's Miles getting ready to I guess hold somebody else's diecast and become part of another trophy at some point. But I think one of the better challenges on the schedule in the Coke Series, you can't cheat success at Dover. If you're good here, you have legitimate speed in a lot of places.
And we heard a lot of the drivers talk about it, that big update with this new season. A lot of things change, and the tires change, and the aero model's changing. We've seen racing at Dover before, of course, in the Coke Series. It's a classic track of the calendar, but a new variable is going to be coming in next week, and it's sure going to be fun to watch them navigate all the new challenges.
And Dover was also one of the tracks that got a good refresh in the latest build. So we'll see a slightly new look Dover, more in line with what we see. You see some of the shots here on your screen, just a small sampling of some of the updates that have come through Dover Motor Speedway here with the June build. That broadcast will come your way next Tuesday, June 24th, 8 p.m. Eastern start time on eNASCAR.com/live and the iRacing and NASCAR Twitch channels and iRacing YouTube, and a whole bunch of fun to be had at the Monster Mile next week. For everyone who was involved with tonight's show, for Camille Salazar Hadaway, Alan Cavana, and Ryan Vargas on Countdown to Green, for Evan Pichoko and Jake Perry on the race broadcast, and for our team here on the Sudoku Post Race Report, for Justin Malillo and Keita Kusin, I am James Pike. Thank you all so much for watching coverage of the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series. We look forward to seeing you next Tuesday night from Dover Motor Speedway.